Chapter 242. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that cannot be found online here. Princess Yu waited anxiously in the room. She paced back and forth, extremely nervous. On one hand, she felt that the child must be hers, but on the other hand, she was worried about what if it was not? After some time, the sky turned completely dark. Lanterns were hung on the corridor, and a few oil lamps were lit in the room. Footsteps came from outside the door. Princess Yu walked forward impatiently. Before she reached the door was pushed open and Prince Yu walked in. Princess Yu's expectant gaze landed on his face, and her voice trembled slightly. "How is it? It's our child, right?" Prince Yu's gaze was gentle, and he did not deny it immediately. Princess Yu's heart immediately calmed down. "I knew it! I knew it! Our son did not die. He came back to life. He was saved by a kind person." Towards the end, she was so emotional that she covered her face and started crying. Ming-Er was woken up by her. He opened his eyes and looked at her in a daze. "Mother, what's wrong?" Princess Yu wiped her tears, but they could not be stopped. They were not tears of sadness, but tears of joy. Ming-Er. Ming-Er. Princess Yu hugged Ming-Er emotionally. Because she was too emotional, she hugged Ming-Er a little too tightly, hurting him. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." Princess Yu hurriedly let go of him. Everything happened so quickly that Princess Consort Yu still felt that it was unreal. As for whether she should hide it from Ming-Er, Princess Consort Yu felt that it was better not to hide it. Ming-Er was also her child. Even if she did not crawl out of her womb, she had endured hardships and raised her up with all her might. They were mother and son. This would not change no matter what. Of course, she was worried that Ming-Er would not be able to accept it. After all, Ming-Er was not an ordinary child. He looked easy to get along with, but he was very competitive and could not tolerate being inferior to others. Otherwise, he would suddenly become irritable, just like in the palace today. Princess Yu was not sure if Ming-Er could accept that child who was smarter than him as his younger brother. After hesitating for a while, she still said it. "Ming-Er, you actually have a younger brother. Mother gave birth to him 4 years ago. Mother thought that he had passed away, until a few days ago, Mother met him again." Princess Yu tried her best to choose her tone and words so that Ming-Er could understand and accept this fact. Ming-Er only remembered that when she was 4 years old, her parents went out for a year, but she didn't know what happened to them during that year. "He has a younger brother." This was truly a miraculous thing. He was used to being the youngest son in the family. Now that he had suddenly become the elder brother, there was a huge difference in his mentality. This meant that from now on, he was no longer the one who was held in the palm of others' hands. His younger brother was. No matter how his brothers and sisters gave in to him, he had to give in to his younger brother just like his brothers and sisters. His mother's embrace no longer belonged to him alone. His younger brother was even younger. Not only could he be carried by his mother, but he could also sleep with her. Anyway, he slept with his mother when he was 4 years old. "Then, who is your little brother?" he asked nervously. Clearly, he already had some guesses in his heart. That heart-wrenching scene kept flashing through his mind. He desperately screamed in his heart, "No, it can't be him. You've seen him before." Prince Yu held Ming-Er's face and said gently. The string in Ming-Er's heart snapped. The 4-year-old little bean that he had seen in Zhao country, other than that hateful little dumpling, there was no one else. Why did it have to be him? Princess Yu did not deliberately avoid the conflict between the two. She said firmly, "Mother knows that there are some misunderstandings between the two of you, but you are a very good child. Mother believes that one day he will discover your good points, and you will also discover his good points." These words were better said. If she blindly said, "He will be a good younger brother. You will understand after spending some time together," then would be even more disgusted and jealous. But Princess Yu spent a lot of time saying that after spending some time together, the other party would discover Ming-er's good points. This made Ming-er very happy. At least he didn't feel that his mother didn't love him because he had a younger brother. However, he still couldn't get over it in his heart. How could he lose to a little bean? He was angry. On the other side, after Minister Su picked up his troublemaker grandson, he sent the manservant who usually took care of his grandson to the medical center to inform little Jing Kong's family. The manservant of the Su family didn't know where little Jing Kong's family was. He only knew that the three of them often played in the medical center. Little Jing Kong's sister seemed to be a female doctor in the medical center. The Su family manservant's horse was naturally not as fast as Marquis Xian Ping's horse. He was stopped halfway by Marquis Xian Ping. "All right, you can go back," Marquis Xian Ping said lightly. The Su family manservant looked at Marquis Xian Ping and then looked at little Jing Kong, who was sitting beside Marquis Xian Ping and holding snacks with both hands. He was so shocked that an egg could be stuffed into his mouth. What was going on? Yes. Did the Crown Princess ask Marquis Xian Ping to handle this matter personally? The Su family manservant didn't dare to guess that little Jing Kong's family was related to Marquis Xian Ping. Compared to this, he would rather believe that the Eastern Palace asked Marquis Xian Ping to teach this child's family a lesson. But wasn't this child too careless? He dared to eat beside Marquis Xian Ping? Not only did little Jing Kong eat, but he also habitually put his mouth over. Wipe it. Just when the Su family manservant thought that Marquis Xian Ping would definitely slap him, he saw Marquis Xian Ping carelessly pick up a clean white handkerchief and carelessly wipe little Jing Kong's mouth. The Su family manservant thought, "Am I stupid or blind?" After little Jing Kong finished eating, he burped and swayed his short legs. He looked very cute. When Marquis Xian Ping was young, he was either fighting outside or training in the military camp all year round. He didn't have much time to accompany his son. But when he wasn't paying attention, all of them had secretly grown up. After people spent a long time with each other, they would easily be influenced by each other's aura and even get used to it. Little Jing Kong naturally had some of Xiao Liulong's habits, such as his expression when he frowned and his disdainful sneer. But these were Xiao Liulong's habits, not Xiao Heng's. Xiao Lulang didn't have Xiao Heng's shadow, not even a little bit. Marquis Xian Ping couldn't help but wonder if he was thinking too much. Xiao Lulang was the illegitimate son of him and Chen Yun's mother, not Xiao Hang, not his legitimate son. Marquis Xian Ping's thoughts drifted away. Suddenly, a small head bumped into him. Little Jing Kong had fallen asleep. Marquis Xian Ping went directly to the Imperial College. He waited outside for a long time until Xiao Lulang came out. He carried the sleeping little Jing Kong out of the carriage. He had already thought about it. In a while, he would tell Xiao Lulang that his brother-in-law had a good aptitude and he planned to take him as his disciple. In this way, he could successfully enter the enemy's, son's inner circle. Whether he was a legitimate son or an illegitimate son, he would be exposed after a long time. But unexpectedly, Xiao Lulang just gave Marquis Xian Ping a cold look. Without saying a word, he carried little Jing Kong and left. He didn't even give Marquis Xian Ping a chance to act shamelessly. Marquis Xian Ping was so angry that his teeth itched. "With my bad temper, if I find out that you're not the illegitimate son, I will really chop you up." Marquis Xian Ping looked gentle, but like most generals, he had a bad temper. If he was really an illegitimate son, to be honest, he really didn't care whether he recognized him or not. Humph. Marquis Xian Ping got out of the carriage with a dark face. The next day, the Liang Kingdom's envoy suddenly stopped the negotiations and said that they would rest for a day and continue the negotiations the next day. The ministers of Zhao Kingdom were very surprised, but when they thought of how Prince Yu's son was beaten up by the seventh prince and his classmate, they understood. Prince Yu was angry. The ministers really misunderstood Prince Yu. He knew what kind of character his son was. He was the one who attacked first, no wonder he was beaten up. Prince Yu didn't go to the negotiations because he accompanied Princess Yu to the medical center. Be polite to her later, she adopted our son. Ming Er's illness was also cured by her. Before getting off the carriage, Princess Yu didn't forget to remind Prince Yu. Prince Yu nodded repeatedly. I'll remember what you said. Don't worry, I won't bully a little girl. Princess Yu thought about it and still wasn't assured, so she reminded him, you're also not allowed to give her attitude. Okay. Prince Yu agreed helplessly, but there's something I have to tell you. What is it? Princess Yu looked at him. Prince Yu said, if we say that Jing Kong is our son, I'm afraid they won't believe us. After all, we don't have any conclusive evidence. Why don't we say that we adopted him first? Princess Yu felt that there was no need to go through so much trouble. Her son was hers. What evidence did she need? She was the Princess Yu of Liang Kingdom. How could she lie? Prince Yu said, listen to me, this is not the Liang Kingdom. The relationship between the two sides is already tense, so it's not easy for us to win their trust. Princess Yu saw that he was serious and hesitated for a moment before nodding. Okay, I'll listen to you. When we return to the Liang Kingdom, Prince Yu hurriedly said, immediately announce to the world that you're my son, on the genealogy, on the jade butterfly. Also, bring him to meet the emperor. Only then did Princess Yu smile. The two of them entered the medical hall. The second master greeted Princess Yu. Seeing that she didn't bring that snobbish attendant, he warmly cupped his hands. Madam, you're here. This is my husband. Princess Yu warmly introduced. The second master bowed to her, looked behind them, and asked, your son didn't come? How's his condition? Is he better? Princess Yu nodded, much better, he doesn't cough much anymore. He's at home. May I ask, is Miss Gu here? The second master said, yes, she should be done soon. Please wait for a moment. I'll go take a look. Gu Jiao was giving Zhang Shi and 4 drip in his ward. When she heard the second master say that the noble madam was here, Gu Jiao thought about who it was. The second master said, her son is 10 years old, the one who coughs badly. She came here with her husband, and I suppose they are here to thank you as before. It wasn't that the second master hadn't encountered such a situation before, so he was already very calm. Gu Jiao also thought that the other party was here to thank her, but when she saw them, she realized that they were here to snatch him away. Since Princess Yu wanted to find a place to talk, Gu Jiao brought her to her small courtyard. At this moment, the 3 of them sat in the reception hall of the small courtyard, and the atmosphere was terrifyingly quiet. Prince Yu had seen countless people, and wasn't someone who judged people by their appearance. He didn't care about Gu Jiao's appearance, but he vaguely felt that this little girl's aura was different from her peers. Princess Yu broke the awkwardness. Miss Gu, I know that I'm a little abrupt, but I really hope to meet your parents and discuss with them about little Jing Kong. We sincerely want to adopt little Jing Kong as our son. Gu Jiao asked, you don't want to take him away? Princess Yu choked. We want to take him back. Gu Jiao didn't even ask where they wanted to take him back, and flatly refused, impossible. Princess Yu's face turned pale. Miss Gu Jiao interrupted her, there's no room for discussion. I won't send Jing Kong away. If you really like him, and he likes you, you can come and see him. Yes, the premise was that little Jing Kong had to like them. She wouldn't mistreat little Jing Kong. If there's nothing else, please leave. Gu Jiao ordered them to leave. Prince Yu was stunned and did not interrupt for a moment. It was only when Gu Jiao stood up to leave that he stopped and asked, You, aren't you going to ask who we are? Gu Jiao looked at him coldly. No one can think about it. Miss Gu. Princess Consort Yu stood up, and Prince Yu could not stop her even if he wanted to. She took a few steps forward and said to Gu Jiao, Jing Kong is our son. We are his parents. Gu Jiao paused and turned back. Are the people who left him in the temple worthy of being his parents? Princess Yu was so anxious that tears came out of her eyes. It's not like that. Miss Gu, let me explain. I never thought of leaving him. We thought he died. Is that so? Gu Jiao's gaze fell on Prince Yu's face. This woman didn't seem to be faking it, but the man's expression was very calm from beginning to end. Prince Yu calmly met Gu Jiao's gaze, but Princess Consort Yu was too excited and fainted before she could catch her breath. Prince Yu quickly supported her. Gu Jiao pulled her hand over, checked her pulse, and let go of her hand. It was nothing serious, and she wasn't faking it. She really fainted. Prince Yu hugged his wife in his arms, no longer showing the gentleness he forced in front of his wife. He looked at Gu Jiao. How much do you want? Name a price. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Girl, you're still young and don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. No one in the capital can protect the person I want. Gu Jiao, then you can try. Prince Yu looked at Gu Jiao coldly, and left the medical center with his wife in his arms. That night, Prince Yu's confidant went to the palace and conveyed his prince's intentions to the emperor. The Liang state could compromise on the terms of the peace talks, but the condition was that child. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896/113097146. HTML Genius remembered this site's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Biku mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 243. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. When the news reached the imperial palace, the emperor was in the imperial study discussing the peace talks between the two countries with several ministers. Zhao and Chen had fought many battles and suffered a great loss. After a few years, the treasury was still half empty. Liang was so powerful that they didn't care about Zhao at all. In this peace talk, Liang's attitude was unyielding and there was no room for compromise. The emperor and the ministers were so worried that their hair was about to turn white. But suddenly, Prince Yu sent someone to say that Liang could compromise on the condition of a child? What child? The emperor asked. The minister said, it's an orphan. My prince and princess consort hit it off with that child and want to adopt him. In return, my prince will try his best to make concessions in the peace talks. How much? Grand Tutor Zhuang asked. The trusted official smiled and took out a list from his wide sleeve. Eunuch Wei walked forward and took the list. After confirming that it wasn't poisonous and had no hidden weapons, he presented it to the emperor. After the emperor looked at it, he gave it to Grand Tutor Zhuang and the others. Grand Tutor Zhuang, Grand Tutor Yuan, and the old ministers all stared at it. They couldn't believe it. The original terms of the negotiations were that Liang would exchange its lime mortar technology for Zhao's bellows technology and glutinous rice mortar technology. They would also open a trade at the border between the two countries and exchange Liang's cheap handicrafts for Zhao's high-quality silk and tea leaves. Now, there was a colored glaze technology. Colored glaze was Liang's unique handicraft. It was exquisite and hard to find. In the 6 countries, only the imperial family had the right to use colored glaze. As for a poor country like Zhao, they couldn't afford it at all. The temptation of this technology was huge. At least they could see Liang's sincerity. It was rumored that Yen also coveted Liang's colored glaze technology but was rejected by Liang. Yen was a superior country and its status wasn't below Liang's. Liang didn't pass on the technology to them but passed it on to Zhao. If this news spread, Yen might be offended. Did Prince Yu know what he was doing? Did he think he could do whatever he wanted just because he was the son of Liang's king? Could it be a trap? An old official asked. The trusted minister laughed sarcastically. My prince's words carry enormous weight. Why would he need to play tricks with you? Are you even worthy? This was like an elephant wanting to crush a bug. All it needed to do was to stomp on it. Was there a need to jump up and down to confuse it, make it dizzy, and let its guard down? Everyone thought it made sense. But, just for a child? Everyone could not understand Prince Yu's confusing behavior. The emperor also did not understand. He was not in a hurry to agree. He faintly felt that things were not simple. He let the officials return first and left the trusted officials of the state of Liang for questioning. Why would Prince Yu take a fancy to the orphans of Zhao country? The emperor opened the window and said a few words. The envoy of the Liang kingdom was not afraid that the emperor would demand an exorbitant price after learning the truth. After all, the emperor of the Ran Zhao kingdom was not easily fooled. He repeated the words that Prince Yu had given him. Does your majesty still remember the visit of Prince Yu and his Wang Fei 5 years ago? The emperor nodded. Of course I remember. The emperor said, at that time, Wang Fei Yu was pregnant. She stayed in the state of Zhao for several months and did not leave until she gave birth. It is said that the child died prematurely. When I heard it, I was very distressed. As the emperor spoke, his brow furrowed. Is this matter related to that child? The envoy of the state of Liang smiled. My Wang Ye accidentally discovered that the child did not die. That year, he might have been rescued from the coffin. Considering that your state of Zhao had raised the Wang Ye's son for many years, in return, my Wang Ye made concessions in the peace talks. If it was like this, then everything made sense. The emperor nodded. Soon, he asked with suspicion, is it really the son of Prince Yu? The envoy of the state of Liang said, is it possible that my Wang Ye would pay such a high price for a fake son? The emperor also felt that it was not possible. He asked again, where is the child now? The envoy of the state of Liang smiled. He was adopted by a young female doctor at a medical hall. Hearing the words medical hall, a faint sense of unease rose in the emperor's heart. Which medical hall? The return of Spring Hall? The envoy of the state of Liang smiled. Ah, no, it's the Miracle Hall. The emperor's expression changed. After 2 classes in the afternoon, little Jing Kong was released from school. Gu Jiao went to the Imperial College to pick him up. Little Jing Kong thought that Uncle Lu was coming to pick him up. He sighed and walked slowly. When he reached the door, he realized that it was Gu Jiao. He instantly felt that he had missed out on 1,000,000 yuan. If he had known earlier, he would have run faster. It was rare for him to spend so much time with Jiao Jiao. Jiao Jiao, Jiao Jiao. He ran towards Gu Jiao with his short legs. Gu Jiao bent down slightly and wiped the sweat on little Jing Kong's forehead with a handkerchief. Recently, the temperature difference was huge. It was very cold in the mornings, so he wore a little too much when he went out. But in the afternoon, the sun was shining brightly, and the little guy was sweating profusely. Gu Jiao touched his back. Fine, his underwear was drenched. Did you have a race this afternoon? Gu Jiao asked. No, there was no race. Little Jing Kong shook his head. The teacher taught us how to play kuju. Was it fun? Gu Jiao asked. It was fun. It was little Jing Kong's first time playing, so he found it very novel. Some people played it better than me. They have played it before. Little Jing Kong was not a competitive child. It was normal for him to win first place. If he did not win, he would not be depressed for too long. Especially when it came to fields that he had not dabbled in, he usually learned with an open mind. This was also the reason why even though he and Xiao Lulang were clearly at odds with each other, the knowledge Xiao Lulang taught him would still be absorbed like a sponge. Gu Jiao took little Jing Kong directly to the medical center. Miss Gu, the patient is here. Xiao Sanzi came to the courtyard and urged Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao had just found little Jing Kong's clothes. Little Jing Kong said obediently, Jiao Jiao, you go ahead. I can change my clothes by myself. Gu Jiao said, it may take a while. Little Jing Kong patted his small chest. It's okay. I can take care of myself. I will do my homework after I change my clothes. How could there be such an obedient child? Gu Jiao smiled and touched his little head. Okay. There are snacks on the table. Eat first if you are hungry. Little Jing Kong said cutely, I will wait for Jiao Jiao to eat together. This child. Gu Jiao's heart melted from his cuteness. Gu Jiao went to the medical center. She really thought it was a patient, but unexpectedly it was Eunuch Wei who served the emperor. Eunuch Wei already knew that the emperor was a prostitute, but he didn't know that Gu Jiao also guessed that the emperor was a prostitute in the county. Of course, Gu Jiao would not say it out. Eunuch Wei smiled embarrassedly. Miss Gu, I came here today because I have something to confirm with you. Gu Jiao looked at him. What's the matter? Eunuch Wei laughed dryly. You are the only female doctor in your medical center? Yes. Gu Jiao nodded. Eunuch Wei cursed inwardly. It was over. His Majesty's guess had come true. What he was afraid of had come true. Prince, you could have taken anyone's child, but why did he have to take the little divine doctor's head? Why do you ask this? Gu Jiao noticed that Eunuch Wei's expression was not right. Eunuch Wei sighed helplessly. Miss Gu, you are in trouble. Eunuch Wei told Gu Jiao the whole story of Prince Yu asking the emperor for his son. There was nothing to add. The matter was too big and there was nothing to add. Gu Jiao suddenly realized. Oh. No wonder his tone was so big, saying that the entire capital could not protect her. It turned out that he was the prince of Liang country. Eunuch Wei said sincerely, His Majesty is also in a difficult position. It is not that he covets the conditions he offered, but it is natural for father and son to recognize each other. He can't stop him from bringing his own son back. Miss Gu, don't you think this is reasonable? Gu Jiao's eyes turned cold. Is it his son just because he said so? Eunuch Wei said, Isn't it obvious? With Prince Yu's status, it was not wrong to call a deer a horse, not to mention recognizing a son. There was no need for evidence for this kind of thing. The terms that he offered for peace talks were the strongest evidence. From the civil and military officials of the court to the people of Zhao country, there was probably no one who would not believe and agree. This was the benefit of having absolute power. No matter how powerful a person was, he was still an individual. Prince Yu had a strong country behind him. Eunuch Wei sighed. Miss Gu, don't blame His Majesty. His Majesty has no choice. He can't stop the father from bringing his son back. I know. Gu Jiao nodded slightly. She stood up and did not say anything. She opened the door of the consultation room and walked out. Little Jing Kong had changed into a set of clean clothes. He was sitting at the small wooden table in the courtyard and doing his homework. His small body sat upright, and his expression was extremely serious. There was a box of freshly baked desserts on the table. The aroma filled the whole courtyard. It was his favorite date paste osmanthus cake. But he did not eat a single bite. He wanted to wait for Jiao Jiao to eat it together. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all the novels that you can't find on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1130953552. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 244. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Ever since the old Marquis returned, Gu Chengfeng hadn't gone out to stir up trouble for a while. Today, the old Marquis went out to meet with friends. Gu Chengfeng also took the opportunity to go out and take on a small task to save up the money that Gu Chenglin had squandered away. The new mask that he had ordered last time was robbed by Gu Jiao, so he found someone to make a new one. The half-face mask with peacock feathers and obsidian was eye-catching and coquettish. Gu Chengfeng was very satisfied with the new mask. Today was another happy day. Just as Gu Chengfeng raised his hand to put on the mask in front of the bronze mirror, a small black shadow suddenly appeared in the mirror. Gu Chengfeng was so scared that his hair stood on end. Ah! The small black shadow looked at the eye-catching new mask and hooked the corners of its lips into an evil smile. Nyahilu Gu Jiao snatched the peacock mask, threw away the old mask on her face, and tried on her new mask. Oh, it looks good. Gu Jiao was very satisfied. Gu Chengfeng, of course it looks good. She didn't even think about how much money he spent to make it. What are you doing here? Gu Chengfeng looked at Gu Jiao with disdain. This girl was getting more and more ridiculous. What did she think his courtyard was? A vegetable garden? She came and went. Gu Jiao looked in the mirror, admiring her new mask as she said, "Didn't you want to take on a job? I'll give you one." Gu Chengfeng remembered the last time he risked his life to barge into the tribute court to exchange test papers for her. In the end, he only received 1 copper coin. He laughed and said, "Not interested. The pay is very high." Gu Jiao looked at him from the bronze mirror. "Ha ha ha, as if I'd believe you." Gu Chengfeng rolled his eyes. "Still not interested." Gu Jiao thought seriously and took out a banknote. Gu Chengfeng narrowed his eyes. He was a bit surprised and tempted, but said calmly, 100 taels is not enough. Gu Jiao took out another banknote. Gu Chengfeng extended 5 fingers. "At least this much." "Okay." Gu Jiao cooperated and took out 3 banknotes. Why was this girl so easy to talk to? Gu Chengfeng, who had been squeezed into a habit, simply couldn't believe that this was real. He held the banknotes in his hands and looked at them over and over again. After confirming that the banknotes were not fake, he looked at her strangely. "You're not asking me to kill people, are you?" Gu Jiao tilted her head and looked at him. Can I?" Gu Chengfeng exploded. "Of course not. He was a bandit, not a bandit. He only stole things and didn't kill people. Of course, if someone wanted to kill him, it would be a different story." In short, he did not accept assassination missions. Gu Jiao shrugged. "That's great." Gu Chengfeng was even more worried now. He had a feeling that nothing good would come out of meeting this girl. "So what exactly do you want?" "Gu Jiao, I want to steal something." When Prince Yu came, he did not mention what had happened. It was Eunuch Wei who mentioned it when he came over. Prince Yu's consort gave birth to a child, but the child died not long after. Prince Yu then found a coffin to bury the child. Eunuch Wei said that there were 2 theories at the time. One was that the child died after being born, and the other was that she gave birth to a stillborn child. After all, it was a sad matter and not many people knew about it. Only a few people in the imperial family knew about it. Gu Chengfeng was thoughtful. "So what they mean is, the child did not actually die. After being buried, he cried and was heard by a kind person who was passing by and dug up the child." "That child is your younger brother? That little monk? Who is the person who wants to adopt him?" Gu Jiao calmly said, "Prince Yu and his wife." Gu Chengfeng sucked in a breath of cold air. He knew that nothing good would come out of meeting this girl. He even stole from the prince of the Liang kingdom. Was he going to become an international bandit in a second? Gu Jiao looked at him sternly. A bandit who does not want to be an international bandit is not a good bandit. Gu Chengfeng, "I don't want to do it. It was too dangerous. If he was discovered, he would lose his life." "Add another 500 taels." Gu Jiao paused and said, "In addition to curing your younger brother's baldness." Gu Chengfeng, ever since little Jing Kong shaved half of Gu Qinglin's head, that half of Gu Qinglin's hair stopped growing. At first, in order to achieve the same effect, he shaved off the other half, but the other half grew by half an inch. The half shaved by little Jing Kong was still barren. This was AF * king consecrated hand. Gu Chengfeng gritted his teeth and agreed. The two sneaked out of the Marquis's residence. Actually, Gu Chengfeng was still a little afraid of this matter. Along the way, he thought of countless ways, such as letting Gu Jiao beg the old Marquis, and then the old Marquis would beg the Emperor. But on second thought, Prince Yu's attitude was too strong. Letting the Emperor offend the Liang Kingdom for an orphan was not a good deal. Zhao Kingdom could not afford to offend the Liang Kingdom. Even if they had better technology and did not want the Liang Kingdom's technology, they could not tell the Liang Kingdom. Zhao Kingdom could not be too high profile, or else it would only be the Liang Kingdom that came to cut their fat meat. If the matter got out of hand, the Jin and Yen Kingdoms might come too. This matter could only be started with Prince Yu. But how could it be easy to make Prince Yu give up the idea of acknowledging his son? He even took out the glazing technology, which showed how determined he was. The two walked on the roof. Gu Chengfeng suddenly looked at Gu Jiao. "Hey, I say, you really don't want to consider sending that little guy away? That little guy was really annoying. If his younger brother was like that little guy, he would have gone crazy." Gu Jiao glared at him. "Shut up if you don't want me to kick you out of here." Gu Chengfeng bitterly shut his mouth. The two's goal tonight was very clear, which was to find the place where the child's bones were buried and see if the bones were still there. If they were, it would prove that little Jing Kong was not Prince Yu and his wife's son. The two arrived outside the walls of the Imperial Garden. Gu Jiao gave Gu Chengfeng a look. "Go in." Gu Chengfeng clenched his fists. Why was he always the one to do such dangerous things? Gu Jiao would not go in. Gu Jiao pouted at him. Gu Chengfeng gritted his teeth and climbed over the wall. The Imperial Gardens were heavily guarded, and Prince Yu's courtyard was surrounded by many hidden guards from the Liang Kingdom. However, Gu Chengfeng still managed to sneak into Prince Yu and his wife's courtyard with his excellent qinggong and many years of experience. After about half an hour, he came out. "How is it?" Gu Jiao looked at him. Gu Chengfeng wiped the sweat from his forehead. "It's on the eastern grassy slope in the south of the city." Gu Jiao coldly said, "Lead the way." Gu Chengfeng speechlessly glanced at her. "You're not going to ask me how I found out?" "I'm not going to ask." Gu Chengfeng, who wanted to show off, he would tell her even if she didn't ask. The more she didn't want to hear, the more he wanted to talk. "I went to check the soles of Prince Yu's shoes. Prince Yu must be like us. To prove the child's identity, the first thing we have to do is investigate the place where the bones were buried. I found yellow clay and red moss under the soles of the shoes of Prince Yu and his two guards. You've seen a lot of green moss, but rarely red moss. Other than that, there are also pine needles. The only place that fits this landform is the eastern grassy slope in the south of the city." Gu Jiao, oh. Aren't you surprised by this young master's intelligence? Horsegrass slope wasn't too far away, and the two of them were fast. They arrived in just over an hour. Prince Yu probably didn't want anyone to find this place, so he purposely destroyed all traces of the scene before leaving. However, this couldn't escape Gu Jiao and Gu Chengfeng's eyes. The two of them quickly found some clues. "It should be around here." Gu Chengfeng looked around as he spoke. Generally speaking, the color of the ground that had been moved would be different from the nearby ground. It was very easy to distinguish, but when they looked around, they didn't see any difference. Suddenly, Gu Jiao's gaze fell on a pile of shrubbery. She walked over and pushed the shrubbery aside, revealing a large stone inside. "Move the stone away," Gu Jiao said. Gu Chengfeng walked over and used all his strength to move the stone away. It was obvious that there was new soil under the stone. It was darker and moister than the nearby soil. Gu Jiao held the lantern and took out a small shovel from the small basket on her back. She threw it to him. "Dig." Gu Chengfeng, did he come here to do manual labor? Gu Chengfeng sweated profusely as he dug for a quarter of an hour before he finally dug out a small coffin. Gu Chengfeng looked at the coffin and hopped back to the ground. Dig, dig, dig. I dug it out, you do it. Gu Jiao cast a sidelong glance at him. You're afraid of ghosts? Gu Chengfeng confidently said, Who said I'm afraid of ghosts? I'm just tired. I can't do all the work by myself. A grown man still afraid of ghosts, he. Gu Jiao jumped down and used her dagger to pry open the nails of the coffin one by one. When she reached the last nail, Gu Jiao hid behind Gu Chengfeng. Gu Jiao opened the coffin and looked inside. She said to Gu Chengfeng, Look. Gu Chengfeng turned his face away. I won't look. No, look. I won't look. I won't look. I won't look even if I die. Gu Jiao grabbed him from behind and forced him to look at the coffin. Gu Chengfeng only took one look and was stunned. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1130653554. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 245. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao and Gu Chengfeng were busy the whole night. Gu Jiao only let him go when the sun was about to rise. Gu Chengfeng worked hard and was scared the whole night. He was tortured to the point that his eyes were not his eyes and his nose was not his nose. But when he thought of the 1,000 taels he earned, he felt that it was worth it. Right, he still hadn't told third brother that his baldness could be cured. Gu Chengfeng was tired but excited as he returned to the mansion. Gu Chenglin still lived in his courtyard. He didn't bother to change his clothes and strode to Gu Chenglin's room. Third brother. He was just about to knock on the door when he heard the door creak open from the inside. Gu Chenglin was wearing a hat. He looked at Gu Chengfeng with a startled expression. Eh? Second brother? So early? Gu Chengfeng frowned. Why are you so early? Gu Chenglin cleared his throat. I'm going to the clinic. Gu Chengfeng, why are you going to the clinic? Gu Chenglin, cure hair growth. He didn't say the word baldness, no matter what. Gu Chengfeng frowned strangely. That's not right. He didn't seem to have told third brother about curing baldness. How did third brother know? Could it be that the two brothers have telepathy? Gu Chenglin said, Second brother, I'm leaving. You're leaving just like that? No more instructions? Gu Chenglin didn't understand what he meant and thought that he was worried about him. He thought about it and said, Don't worry about the money. I've already given it. Gu Chengfeng was puzzled. Gave it to who? How much did you give? Gu Chengfeng curled his lips. Who else could it be? That girl, 1,200 taels. Wait, this number was a bit familiar. Gu Chengfeng looked at him suspiciously. Where did you get 1,200 taels? Gu Chenglin said, Oh, you took it from your room. Gu Chengfeng almost spat out a mouthful of blood. That was all he had, idiot. He thought that he had earned 1,000 taels. But in the end, he lost 200 taels. He really wanted to die. Having cheated Gu Jiao of a new mask and 200 taels of silver, Gu Jiao returned to Jadewater Alley in satisfaction. Inside the kitchen, Nanny Fong was already busy cooking. After Madame Yao and senior servant Fong moved in, Gu Jiao had a lot less work to do. She saved time to make breakfast, so she could exercise by herself or practice martial arts with little Jing Kong. Xiao Lu Lang had to attend the morning classes at the Imperial College, so he left before dawn. Little Jing Kong was practicing in the backyard. Gu Jiao practiced with him for a while. Her body was much more flexible than when she first arrived. She could do a split with ease. There were no classes at Qinghe Academy today, so Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshan were both sleeping in their rooms. Gu Jiao did not wake the two up. After eating breakfast with Yao Shi and little Jing Kong, she sent little Jing Kong to the Imperial College. When she walked into the alley, she ran into Master Zhao's eldest daughter-in-law, Madame He, and his grandson, Zhao Xiaobao. Madame He chased after Zhao Xiaobao all over the courtyard to feed him. Xiaobao. Little Jing Kong passed by the door and greeted him. Brother Jing Kong. Zhao Xiaobao greeted him and then ran away to hide from his mother. Gu Jiao had never mentioned this topic to little Jing Kong before because she felt it was a bit sensitive. However, the arrival of Prince Yu and his wife made her have to pay attention to this issue. Jing Kong. Hm? Jiao Jiao? Little Jing Kong looked up at her cutely. Gu Jiao asked, "Do you want to have parents?" Little Jing Kong said, "Jing Kong has parents. Jiao Jiao's parents are Jing Kong's parents." Gu Jiao paused. "I mean, your parents, your biological parents." Little Jing Kong stopped and looked at Gu Jiao with hurt. "Jiao Jiao doesn't want me anymore?" This sentence made Gu Jiao's heart feel as if it was pierced by something. She was too abrupt and forgot that he was actually a sensitive and fragile little guy. Gu Jiao patted his little head. "How could that be? You are so cute, I can't wait to like you." "I knew it." Little Jing Kong jumped up and down happily. After sending him to the Imperial College, Gu Jiao did not go to the medical center, but went to the Imperial Garden. Today, Prince Yu still did not enter the palace. He stayed in the garden to accompany Princess Yu. Princess Yu thought that she would be able to bring her son back soon and was so excited that she did not sleep the whole night. She made a pair of shoes for her son overnight. She was a princess and this kind of thing was left to the servants to do. Therefore, she was not familiar with the craftsmanship and the shoes she made were not very good. She held the ugly shoes and asked her husband shyly and happily, "Your Highness, do you think he will like it?" Prince Yu looked at the shoes in his wife's hand. "You made it very well. He will like it. He is a sensible child." "I mean us." Princess Yu looked at him nervously. "We have not been by his side for so many years. What if he doesn't like us? What if he is not willing to go back with us?" Prince Yu held his wife's hand, his eyes deep. "Don't worry, we will definitely bring him back." Princess Yu's heart sank back into her stomach. "I want to build a small courtyard for him. He is still young and can sleep with us for the time being. But he should have his own courtyard and not be looked down upon. Can you build your sword practice platform later?" Princess Yu chattered on, her eyes full of longing for bringing her son back to the Liang kingdom. Prince Yu looked at her quietly and responded from time to time. Suddenly, a servant came to report, "Your Highness Princess Yu, there is a person outside who claims to be Miss Gu." "Miss Gu? Is she a sister from Jing Kong? Did you tell her who we are?" Princess Yu fainted from excitement yesterday. When she woke up, she had already returned to the garden. She knew that Prince Yu and Gu Jiao must have talked about something, because her husband assured her that everything was settled. Prince Yu frowned slightly. He did not reveal his identity. After a quarter of an hour, Gu Jiao appeared in the reception pavilion. Prince Yu looked at Gu Jiao. This time, there was an additional look of inquiry and scrutiny in his eyes. He realized that even though Gu Jiao's face was damaged, she did not show any signs of weakness. Her actions were calm and natural, not at all like a lowly female doctor. Princess Yu had a good impression of Gu Jiao. She smiled and went up to her. "Miss Gu, you have come so early. Have you not eaten yet? I will get someone to set the table." "No need, I have already eaten." Gu Jiao flatly refused. "I am here today because I have something to say to you." She glanced at the couple. "You cannot take Jing Kong away. Princess Yu was stunned. Why? Is it because Jing Kong does not agree? Gu Jiao said bluntly, he does not agree, and I do not agree. Prince Yu said coldly, I am afraid that this matter is not up to you to decide. The Emperor of Zhao country will make his own decision. Princess Yu saw that the two were about to quarrel, so she quickly stood between them and said to Prince Yu, speak properly. She then said to Gu Jiao, Miss Gu, don't be angry. It is our fault for not giving you enough time to prepare. If Jing Kong does not agree, I can wait for him. I will stay in the capital. I will bring him back when he agrees. If you really cannot bear to leave Jing Kong, and if you are willing, Prince Yu's residence welcomes you at any time. I will treat you as my own daughter. This was the biggest concession that Princess Yu could make. She could wait. If her son did not agree for a day, she would wait for a day. If her son did not agree for a year, she would wait for a year. But she would not give up. Because that was her son, and she was a mother. Gu Jiao paused, then looked at Princess Yu and said, You do not have to wait. Princess Yu's eyes lit up. You agree? Gu Jiao shook her head. As if realizing what Gu Jiao was about to say, Prince Yu's expression changed, and he said sternly, Shut up. How could Gu Jiao be frightened by him? Gu Jiao said to Princess Yu, Jing Kong is not your son, so you do not have to wait. Princess Yu hurriedly shook her head. No, he is my son. He is. Isn't he 4 years old? Wasn't he born in December? My son is the same. Also, I like him so much when I see him. He can't not be my son. Like was a kind of affinity, but it could also be a projection of one's heart. Gu Jiao looked steadily into Princess Yu's eyes, without a trace of avoidance. Princess Yu's heart sank. Prince Yu hurriedly stepped forward, shielding Princess Yu behind him, blocking the line of sight between the two. His unfriendly gaze fell on Gu Jiao's face. What nonsense are you talking about? He is the son of this prince and my princess. If he is your son, then what is this? As Gu Jiao spoke, she took out an old swaddling cloth wrapped in something from the small basket on her back. Prince Yu's expression changed. His gaze turned from unfriendly to extremely sharp, and the veins on his forehead bulged. He raised his hand to grab Gu Jiao, trying to snatch the swaddling cloth away. However, he had never expected that he, a military general of his country, would actually come up empty-handed. Gu Jiao's movements were extremely fast. Not only did she dodge Prince Yu's attack, she also circled in front of Princess Yu. Princess, you are not unfamiliar with this swaddling cloth, right? Princess Yu was stunned. Of course, she was not unfamiliar with this swaddling cloth. She had personally chosen it for the child in her womb. She had even asked an embroiderer to embroider 2 small flowers on the swaddling cloth. In her dreams at night, she had dreamed countless times of the child who had died young being wrapped in this swaddling cloth. However, the color of the swaddling cloth in front of her had faded, and it was also dusty and damaged. Princess Yu's expression immediately tensed up. Miss Gu, where did this swaddling cloth come from? Inside is... Before Princess Yu could finish speaking, Prince Yu stepped in front of her, blocking her behind him. He gritted his teeth and said to Gu Jiao, Don't think that you can fake it here just because you made a fake swaddling cloth. There are many of these swaddling clothes in the entire Zhao country. What are you trying to say? Gu Jiao said indifferently, There are indeed many swaddling clothes like this in the entire Zhao country, but there is only one buried in Ma Caopa. Since you think that I am faking it, fine, I will burn it. As she spoke, she turned her finger and poured the oil from the lamp on the table onto the swaddling cloth. Then, with a flick of a match, she threw the swaddling cloth into the courtyard of the flower hall. The swaddling cloth caught fire with a whoosh. Prince Yu's expression changed drastically. Actually, when he heard about Ma Caopa, he could not hold it in any longer. However, he told himself to remain calm and not fall for this girl's trick. Who would have thought that this girl would be so ruthless that she would not even let go of the skeleton of an infant? Amidst the raging flames, a piece of white bone was revealed. Prince Yu could no longer pretend to be calm. He flew up and tore apart the swaddling cloth that was on fire, revealing the small skeleton wrapped in swaddling cloth. The skeleton fell to the ground and broke into pieces. Prince Yu's entire face was twisted in anger and pain. He did not bother to find trouble with Gu Jiao. He took off his clothes to wrap up the skeleton, but when he touched it, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. Wait, this was not a real bone. Oh, it was wood. That's right, this was the result of Gu Jiao and Gu Chengfeng's hard work for an entire night. Although the two's craftsmanship was not as good as Gu Xiaoshuan's, they still made it very well. At first glance, there were not many flaws. It was just that the process of making it was very troublesome. Gu Chengfeng was also afraid of ghosts and almost died from fright several times. Gu Jiao did not touch the things in the wooden coffin. Even the swaddling cloth was stolen from the cloth store by Gu Chengfeng. The two made a little change. Prince Yu finally realized that he had been tricked by the girl in front of him. How dare this girl? Even the emperor of Zhao country did not dare. Prince Yu still wanted to hide something, but it was too late. Princess Consort Yu was not a fool. How could she not see what Prince Yu's disregard for his own safety meant? Her entire person was like a winter flower that quickly withered. In an instant, her eyes lost all light. Her body swayed and she almost fell to the ground. Prince Yu threw away the wooden skeleton in his hand and quickly walked over to support the tottering Princess Consort Yu. This is not a child's skeleton. It's made of wood. Don't be sad. Yu, listen to my explanation. Princess Consort Yu's tears fell down in large droplets. Gu Jiao had already done what needed to be done. The rest was up to the two of them. Princess Consort Yu was very innocent, but her tragedy was not caused by Gu Jiao. The person who should reflect was Prince Yu. After experiencing great hope, the despair that Princess Consort Yu endured was unbearable. It was as if she had experienced the pain of losing a child again. She curled herself up in her room and cried herself hoarse. When Ming-Er opened his eyes, he heard his mother crying. Ever since he could remember, he had never seen his mother so sad. He put on his shoes and ran out. At the end of the corridor, he saw his Lord Father standing outside anxiously. What happened in Jingkong was my fault. I shouldn't have done that. It's all my fault. Jingkong? The younger brother who was going to be recognized? We still have Ming-Er. Even if you don't think for yourself, think for Ming-Er. What did Lord Father mean? What did he mean by still having him? Did he not have a younger brother? Was his younger brother not willing to go back with them? That's great. Without a younger brother, his mother would be his alone again. His older brothers and sisters had grown up. They had long stopped fighting with him for his mother. But why couldn't he be happy? His mother was sad, and he was also sad. Ming-Er's nose was sour. He wiped the tears in his eyes, gritted his teeth, turned around and ran out. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/113062831. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 246. The latest chapter of the book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that cannot be found online are available here. Ming-Er knew how to avoid the guards in the garden. He rushed out of his residence and came to the busy street. He saw a carriage waiting by the side of the road and walked over, panting. Go to the Miracle Hall. The driver looked at him strangely. He pulled a jade pendant from his waist. Here. It was a high-quality mutton fat jade. Although the driver did not know whether it was real or fake, there was a gold ingot hanging from the pendant. It was real gold. The driver was suddenly happy. Okay, little brother, come on up. Miracle Hall, right? The one on Xuanwu Street? I promise I'll send you there. You have to be fast, Ming said to the driver. The driver smiled. Okay. Hurry up. Ming was lucky. This was indeed a carriage for running errands and not a private carriage of a rich family. Otherwise, they would not be doing business with Ming. Moreover, the driver was not a pawnbroker. The carriage arrived at the Miracle Hall. Ming jumped out of the carriage. His throat was itchy, so he coughed twice. He left in a hurry this morning and forgot to take his medicine. The people in the clinic recognized this young patient. A young medicine boy came forward and asked, "Young master, are you here for a follow-up visit? Where are your parents?" Ming did not answer his question. Instead, he asked seriously, "Where is Jing Kong?" He was the son of a prince and the grandson of the king. He had the aura of a royal family. When he became serious, the medicine boy was stunned. The medicine boy said blankly, "Are you talking about Miss Gu's brother? He did not come to the clinic. He must have gone to school." "Where does he go to school?" Ming asked again. "The Imperial College," the medicine boy said. "How do I get to the Imperial College?" Ming asked. "Go forward. You can see the cloth store in front. Go west and you will reach it." As soon as the medicine boy finished speaking, Ming ran out. The medicine boy scratched his head and was confused. Ming went to the Imperial College. The Imperial College was not over yet. He could not enter. He used his identity as the envoy of the Liang Kingdom, but no one believed him. He could only wait at the door. He had forgotten to put on extra clothes when he went out, so he was wearing casual clothes at home. His clothes were a little thin. It was a sunny day today, but the wind wasn't weak either. It was chilly and made him shiver a little. He paced back and forth at the entrance, sometimes squatting under a tree to look at the ants, sometimes looking up to count the leaves on the tree. He didn't know how much time had passed, but the Imperial College was finally dismissed. The gate was opened and a large number of Imperial College students filed out. He plunged into the crowd and went against the flow into the Imperial College. As long as one had a mouth, it wouldn't be hard to find basic knowledge. Little Jing Kong slowly walked out of the elementary school. The elementary school children all went to the cafeteria to eat. They ran very fast. Among the large group of 7, 8, and 9-year-old children, only the 4-year-old little Jing Kong was particularly eye-catching. Ming saw this glutinous rice ball at a glance. Her little face was serious and cute. Did mother like this? Ming felt that this little fellow was not that annoying after all. He strode over. Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong was startled by the sudden appearance of the huge creature. He raised his head to take a look. That's right, he raised his head. Because he was too short, he had to raise his head to look at everyone. How annoying. It's you. Little Jing Kong's little face became serious again. Do you want to fight again? No. Ming felt that there were too many people here, so it was inconvenient for him to fight. He grabbed little Jing Kong's hand. Oh my God, what a small hand. Ming was afraid that he would break this little hand. But why was this little hand so soft? Ming pinched it, then pinched it again. Oh, it was so fun. What do you want? Niu Hulu, Grandpa little Jing Kong, asked in disdain. He almost forgot about the important matter. Ming was embarrassed and said to little Jing Kong, "Follow me." After that, he dragged little Jing Kong out of the Imperial College. Little Jing Kong exclaimed, "Where are you taking me? I still have to go home to eat." Today, Meng's school started class a little early, and Han Xing Tang ended class a little late, so Xiao Lulang and little Jing Kong missed each other perfectly. This situation had happened before. Little Jing Kong wouldn't run around. He would obediently wait for Xiao Lu Lang at the entrance of Meng's school. Today, little Jing Kong was dragged out by Ming Er. Ming Er dragged little Jing Kong to a corner where no one was around. She said to him solemnly and hesitantly, "All right, maybe what I'm going to say next will be hard for you to accept, but I swear that every word I say is true." He was indeed a child from the prince's mansion. His words were so eloquent. Little Jing Kong looked at him strangely. "What are you going to say?" Ming Er took a deep breath and said resolutely, "You're my brother." "Huh?" Little Jing Kong rejected him. "You're not my brother." Ming Er had an "I knew it" expression. See, you don't believe me. But I'm really your brother. My mother is your mother. You've seen her. Don't you like her? Little Jing Kong and Princess Yu had met twice. The first time was at the medical center, and the second time was at the palace. Princess Yu was a very kind madam. Like Yao, little Jing Kong liked her. But somehow, little Jing Kong felt that Ming Er's like was not what he understood. Little Jing Kong was in a dilemma. Ming Er took another deep breath and made the next decision with difficulty. "I was wrong in the palace. I shouldn't have lost my temper at you. I shouldn't have pushed you. Don't refuse to go back with us because of this. Mother is very sad. She even cried." Children's thoughts were always simple. Ming Er felt that Princess Yu was the best mother in the world. If she liked her, her brother must like her too. Her brother didn't want to go back because of her. Then she would apologize to him. Ming Er held little Jing Kong's hand and promised, "I won't bully you anymore. I'll protect you. The prince's mansion is very good. It has a very big courtyard, a lot of delicious food, and many servants and horses. I can teach you how to ride a horse. I can also teach you how to shoot an arrow. Come back with me." Seeing that little Jing Kong didn't speak, he said again, "Every child has a father and mother. You should be with your father and mother. Mother didn't abandon you on purpose. She thought something happened to you. Now she and father have come back to look for you. If you don't want to acknowledge them, mother will continue to be sad." Little Jing Kong thought seriously for a moment and said to Ming Er, "But I want to be with Jiao Jiao." Ming Er was surprised. "Jiao Jiao is not your mother." Who was Jiao Jiao? Ming Er had said everything that needed to be said, but mother was still crying in the courtyard. Ming Er couldn't wait for Jing Kong to nod. She directly pulled Jing Kong to the direction of the Imperial Garden. He remembered the way he came and also remembered that it wouldn't take long to get there by carriage. But he underestimated the speed of the carriage and overestimated the speed of walking. They were sweating profusely. Little Jing Kong looked at him speechlessly. "Where are you taking me?" "Home." Ming Er held his hand with one hand and used the other to wipe the sweat on his forehead. He held his hand tightly, afraid that he would lose his younger brother. Ming Er's luck seemed to have run out. They walked to a deserted street. Suddenly, a well-dressed middle-aged man came over. He had a kind face and a kind smile. He looked like a good person. He stopped in front of Ming Er and little Jing Kong and said with a kind smile, "Little brother, where are you going? Why aren't your parents with you? Did you get separated from your parents?" Ming Er looked at him vigilantly. "It's none of your business. Back off." The young master from the imperial residence was used to ordering people around. Naturally, he wouldn't take a commoner seriously. His orders were always effective. He didn't know that it was because he was always followed by the imperial residence's guards. Now that he was alone with a 4-year-old child, he instantly lost all of his deterrence. After all, no matter how fierce a cub was, it was still a cub. No adult sheep would be afraid of a tiger cub. The middle-aged man smiled. Instead of backing off, he reached out his hand to touch little Jing Kong's head. "Don't touch my brother." Ming Er slapped his hand away decisively. Little Jing Kong suddenly pointed across the street. "Uncle, someone is calling you over there." The middle-aged man turned his head to look. Little Jing Kong took the opportunity to grab Ming Er and run away. They ran until they reached a crowded place. Ming-er was out of breath. Little Jing Kong had a good physique and didn't pant too much. Why are we running? Ming-er asked weakly. That's a trafficker, little Jing Kong said. A trafficker is a human trafficker. He will kidnap children. Ming-er was puzzled. How do you know? Little Jing Kong said, I guessed. When he was walking chickens in the countryside, the villagers always liked to joke with him, saying that he was too young to be taken away by a trafficker. Jiao Jiao also taught him not to talk to strangers casually. Ming-er looked back. The man didn't seem to catch up with them, but he was still a little scared. Then let's go. They continued to walk forward. Unfortunately, Ming-er's good luck had already run out on the way here. The middle-aged man whom they had avoided finally caught up with them. In public, he actually walked up to the two of them angrily and picked up little Jing Kong. Then, he slapped Ming-er to the ground. He pointed at Ming-er and scolded, What kind of brother are you? I just said a few words to you, and you ran away with your brother, right? Don't you know that your brother is still sick? How did I give birth to such a bastard like you? Ming-er was furious. Nonsense. You're not my father. The middle-aged man pointed at his nose. Fine. Bastard, you don't even recognize your father now. I'll kill you. People surrounded them. A woman cried and rushed over, protecting Ming-er in her arms. Master, don't hit the child. It's all my fault. I didn't take good care of him. Go away. Ming-er struggled. Big drops of tears fell from the woman's eyes. She was truly anxious. Son, don't be stubborn with your father anymore. Your father forced you to go to school for your own good. Ming-er shouted angrily, Go away. You're not my mother. The man slapped Ming-er again, and Ming-er fainted. How is she not your mother? She's your stepmother. She's your mother. It turned out that stepmother and biological father had such a relationship. No wonder this child kept saying that he didn't recognize them. He probably hated his stepmother, and even his biological father. This kind of thing was not rare, so no one suspected that it was fake. The middle-aged man kicked the woman a few more times. Every kick landed on the woman's body. This way, the show was even more real. Ming-er's struggle was seen as rebellion in the eyes of the crowd. Ming-er's heart was filled with endless anger, and he felt deeply afraid and helpless with Shi Yi. If he had known, he wouldn't have come out by himself. He was abducted by the pawnbroker, and so was his younger brother. The two of them would never see their mother again. In the end, the middle-aged man carried little Jing Kong, and the woman supported Ming-er, who was already weak, and left the scene. No one would report this kind of family matter to the authorities, so the crowd quickly dispersed. The two of them came to a secluded courtyard, and threw the two children into the house. The middle-aged man wanted to use some drugs on the little one, but the little one was scared silly from the beginning. He didn't even know how to cry, so the middle-aged man didn't want to bother. After all, the knockout drug was very expensive, and it could easily harm the body. Such a small child was very delicate, and if he didn't wake up, they would lose a lot of money. Master, these two children are good. The woman changed her weak and dazzling image in front of others, and showed a sarcastic and proud look. The middle-aged man looked at the two children lying on the ground with satisfaction, and said with a smirk, Yes, it's been a long time since I got such high-quality goods. They can definitely be sold at a good price. Where's old Lou? The woman said, He went to prepare the carriage. We'll send them out of town in a while. The middle-aged man looked at the two coldly, and said, Let's change their clothes first. Shave their heads too. Okay. The woman went to another room to prepare clothes and a razor. The man closed the door of the two children's room, and walked to the front yard. He poked his head out to look around, and then closed the door vigilantly. The fear in little Jing Kong's eyes disappeared. He crawled to Ming-er, pushed his arm and whispered, Brother Ming-er, wake up. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, Please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/113038856. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 247. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. The novel will be updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. The man's 2 slaps were ruthless. Ming-er was injured and dizzy. Little Jing Kong took out a peanut candy from his pouch and put it in his mouth. Have some candy first. Jiao Jiao said that eating candy will give you strength. I'm sorry. Ming-er said weakly. What did you say? Little Jing Kong didn't hear him clearly. He leaned close to Ming-er's mouth, wanting to hear what he said. At this moment, the woman came over with a razor and clothes. At the same time, a few men's voices could be heard from the front yard. There were more than 3 bad guys. The woman went into the house. Little Jing Kong had to give up on waking brother Ming-er. The little one looked obedient and didn't get beaten or tortured. He was very clean. The woman grabbed him and shaved his head. Little Jing Kong felt like he had nothing to live for. The hair that he worked so hard to grow out was gone just like that. Jiao Jiao said that he would be able to prune his hair in a month. After the woman shaved Little Jing Kong's head, she changed Little Jing Kong into a poor child's clothes. To be honest, the child didn't cry or make a fuss. Other than being a little timid, he was actually quite likable. For a moment, the woman wanted to keep the child and raise him so that he could take care of her and her master. However, she shook her head when she thought about her master's attitude. Forget it. The money was more important. Besides, he wouldn't agree anyway. The woman shaved the children's heads and changed their clothes. Then, she applied some yellow powder on their faces to make them look malnourished and emaciated. She also drew some spots on their faces with cinnabar. They looked completely different from before. Even their own parents wouldn't be able to recognize them at a glance. Are you done? The middle-aged man urged from outside. Yes, yes. The woman walked out and asked, Do you want to give them some medicine? The middle-aged man looked at the 2 people in the house. Just now, he had used too much force and injured the child. He was worried that the child would die from the medicine. As for the little one, he was scared silly. What medicine should he use? No need. You and old Lu send them out of the city. Old Li and I still have 2 jobs to do. This was a new business opportunity. His luck today was simply too good. The woman smiled like a blooming flower. All right. The woman and Lao Lu carried the 2 children into the carriage. They had to leave the city before dark, but they could not take the main street because it was easy to run into patrolling city guards. They took small paths and twists and turns, all of which were sparsely populated alleys and hutongs. After walking for some time, the candy in Ming-er's mouth melted completely and flowed into his stomach. He actually regained some strength. He slowly opened his eyes and realized that one of his hands was tightly held by Little Jing Kong. He opened his mouth and was about to speak when Little Jing Kong beat him to it. Mother, I want to drink some water. The woman trembled. What did you call me? Mother. Little Jing Kong said in a silly and adorable manner. Was this child an idiot? He actually called her mother? The woman looked at the beautiful little face and was completely mesmerized. You. I want to drink water, Little Jing Kong said coquettishly. The woman's heart suddenly softened. She greedily held Little Jing Kong's shoulder and said softly, What did you call me? Call me again. Mother, little Jing Kong said softly. The woman was overwhelmed by little Jing Kong calling her mother. She quickly took a water bag and gave it to little Jing Kong. This was clean water. She had not drunk it yet. Little Jing Kong gulped down a few mouthfuls and returned the water bag to her. Thank you, mother. The woman was grinning from ear to ear. Even if it was just a short moment, she still enjoyed the moment in front of her. Mother, I want to pee. Little Jing Kong suddenly covered his little buttocks and said. The woman was shocked. She lifted the curtain and looked outside. Then, she looked at little Jing Kong. You can pee in the carriage. I can't pee in the carriage. Little Jing Kong's face turned red. When a person compromised on one thing, it was not difficult to compromise on the second thing. The woman hesitated for a while and asked Old Lu to stop the carriage. Old Lu said, He wants to pee. Just ask him to pee in the carriage. Don't bother. The woman said, I want to pee too. Do I have to pee in the carriage too? Old Lu cursed a few times. In the end, he stopped the carriage in an alley and said impatiently, Hurry up, don't let anyone see you. The woman glared at him and got off the carriage with little Jing Kong. Of course, the woman would not bring little Jing Kong to a restaurant or tea house to use the toilet. At most, she would find a corner for him. It's here. Pee. The woman pointed at a dirty corner. Oh. Little Jing Kong lowered his head to untie his belt. I can't untie it. Why don't you know how to untie your belt? You're such an idiot. The woman thought the child was cute, but in the blink of an eye, her patience ran out. Just as she bent down to untie little Jing Kong's belt, little Jing Kong suddenly raised his hand and threw a handful of sand into her eyes. There was a small sandbag in his pocket, and he had secretly opened it when they were in the carriage. The woman was blinded by the sand and screamed, Little bastard! Old Lu! Catch him! He ran away. Old Lu, who was in the carriage, heard the noise and quickly jumped off the carriage. He rushed towards little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong tried to run, but in the end, he fell and rolled to Old Lu's feet. Old Lu was speechless. Little Jing Kong was speechless. Would you believe me if I said I didn't do it on purpose? Ha ha. Old Lu picked the little guy up. Calm down, calm down. Little Jing Kong touched his little bald head. I got it. Iron head technique. Watch my iron head technique. Squeak. Little Jing Kong used his little bald head to hit Old Lu's head. It was a very forceful hit. Both of them were stunned. Little Jing Kong was the first to react, because he was in pain. Didn't they say he wouldn't feel pain after he practiced the iron head technique? Little Jing Kong touched his little bald head with his two little hands. He was confused. Where's my iron head technique? Where's my iron head technique? Iron head technique. I don't have the iron head technique. Little Jing Kong, who finally remembered that he didn't have the iron head technique, suddenly broke down. Wah! Old Lu was so scared that he threw away the child in his hands. Little Jing Kong fell to the ground, got up, and ran away. He shouted, Help! 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 No, he couldn't shout like that. Fire! Fire! What a big fire! The house is burning down. We'll be burned to death if we don't come out. Sure enough, the residents who didn't care about what was happening outside ran out of their houses one after another, and the number of people on the streets suddenly increased. At this time, Ming-er also got down from the carriage. He had recovered some of his strength, and the two of them ran forward desperately. The bandit had never seen such a cunning child. How did he think of shouting fire? There were too many people, and Old Lu and the woman were blocked halfway. They successfully escaped from the clutches of the two people. However, they didn't expect that although they got rid of the two people, they met the other two people. The middle-aged man held a wooden stick and walked towards them sinisterly. What are you shouting for? Why aren't you shouting? Little Jing Kong. Of course, I'm shouting at the top of my lungs. Little thing, you've been pretending to be stupid and spoiling my plans. He had a new goal, but it was ruined by this child's shouting. The middle-aged man couldn't take it anymore. He raised the wooden stick in his hand and hit little Jing Kong to vent his anger. Seeing that the wooden stick was about to fall on little Jing Kong's head, Ming-er suddenly took a step forward. With his back facing the man, he used his weak body to protect little Jing Kong tightly in his arms. Ming-er couldn't feel anything after the wooden stick fell on him. He slowly fell to the ground and looked at little Jing Kong, who was gradually blurring, and shouted with the last of his strength, "Hurry! Go!" When Ming-er woke up, he was lying on an unfamiliar bed. The ceiling was made up of strange beams. He couldn't see the beams in the prince's mansion because of the Chengchen. Ming-er had been unconscious for so long that he forgot that he wasn't in the Liang kingdom. Ming-er, you're awake." Princess Yu's tear-filled face entered Ming-er's sight. "Mother," Ming-er said weakly. His voice was so soft that he almost couldn't hear himself. "Mother is here, Mother is here." Princess Yu wiped her tears, held her son's hand and kissed it. She choked with sobs and said, "It's good that you're awake. You scared Mother to death." Ming-er felt that something was missing. He suddenly remembered everything. He turned to look at Princess Yu and asked, "Brother, is he all right?" Princess Yu didn't expect that the first thing this child asked was about his brother. Of course, she knew why he asked this. Little Jing Kong had told her everything. She choked and shook her head. "He's fine. Jing Kong is fine." Ming-er raised his hand weakly and wiped away Princess Yu's tears. "I found my brother. Mother, don't cry anymore." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/113036484. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 248. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated faster. Millions of novels can be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. In the next room, Gu Jiao was treating little Jing Kong's injuries. He didn't have any injuries on his body, but his heart was hurt. His hair, which he had grown for several months, was gone. He was so sad that he kept twitching. He couldn't show it in front of others, but when he was in Gu Jiao's arms, he couldn't bear it anymore. His little body curled into a ball and his little head drooped. He pressed his little head with his 2 little hands and said with tears in his eyes, my hair is gone again." Gu Jiao said, "It will grow back. I'll make a few more sesame pills for you to eat later. I'll also wash your hair with Chinese knotweed to make your hair grow faster." "Okay." Little Jing Kong nodded coquettishly. Gu Jiao looked at his little bald head and asked, "Does it still hurt?" The little guy actually used the iron head skill, which he had never practiced before. It really scared her to death. "It hurts. I need to blow on it." Little Jing Kong patted his little bald head. Gu Jiao gently blew on his head. Little Jing Kong lay in Gu Jiao's arms and buried his little head in her neck. He was so happy that he kept bubbling. Gu Jiao remembered the scene when she brought the little guy back to the medical center. At that time, the little guy didn't know that Ming-er misunderstood their relationship and thought that he was really Princess Yu's son. He said to Princess Yu seriously and embarrassedly, "I'm sorry. Although you're my mother, I still can't go back with you. I want to be with Jiao Jiao. Jiao Jiao took care of me, and I also want to be like Gu Jiao." In the end, who was the one who saved who? Gu Jiao kissed the little guy's little bald head. Jiao Jiao, did you just kiss me? The little guy asked softly with a hint of expectation. Yeah, I kissed you. Gu Jiao nodded. Little Jing Kong was so shy that he grabbed Gu Jiao's clothes and buried his head in Gu Jiao's arms, turning himself into a little mimosa. In another room of the clinic, Prince Yu and Xiao Lulang were thanking Lu Yixing, the hero of this incident. Lu Yixing happened to be nearby when Ming'er was knocked down by the stick. Lu Yixing didn't know Ming'er, but he had seen little Jing Kong and Gu Jiao together from afar. He was afraid that even Gu Jiao didn't know about this. Lu Yixing was a weak scholar. It was impossible for him to beat some beggars, but he was Lu Yixing. With just one sentence, I, Lu Yixing, am here, half of the people in the capital wanted to come and beat him up. He pointed at the middle-aged man and the beggar called Old Li. These are my sworn brothers. With them here, you can forget about hurting me. Then the beggar was beaten up. Lu Yixing brought the two children back to the clinic. This was the whole story of the incident. Xiao Lulang and Prince Yu had only heard of Lu Yixing, but had never seen him before. They only knew that he was a descendant of noble consort Lu's mother's family. He was implicated by noble consort Lu and her family, so his life in the capital was difficult. They didn't expect that the two children would be saved by him. Prince Yu personally presented a gift of thanks. Thank you, young Master Lu, for saving my son. I hope young Master Lu will accept this small gift of thanks. Lu Yixing was short on money, so he didn't refuse and accepted it generously. Prince Yu was very satisfied. He didn't like to owe people favors. Since the other party accepted the gift, it meant that the other party had the same intention. He couldn't help but look at the other party. I heard about your situation in the capital. Are you willing to go to the country of Liang? The Lu family had colluded with the country of Chen, not the country of Liang. Lu Yixing and Prince Yu's residence did not have such a sensitive political relationship. Even if there was, with Prince Yu's ability, he could still protect Lu Yixing. Lu Yixing said, Thank you, Prince, for your kindness. For the time being, I don't want to leave. Lu Yixing did not beat around the bush no matter what he said or did. In this aspect, he was much better than those hypocritical and polite young people. Prince Yu did not ask Lu Yixing. With his situation like this, what was there in the capital for him to stay? After saying a few words of gratitude, Prince Yu went to the next room to visit Ming-er. Thus, only Xiao Lulang and Lu Yixing were left in the room. Xiao Lulang naturally wanted to express his gratitude. He had recently earned some money from writing articles for others and had planned to give it to Gu Jiao. Now, it was not a bad idea to use it as a reward. Other than the reward, he also took 2 books that Elder Feng had left for him and put them in a brocade box. However, he did not expect that Lu Yixing would not accept it. Why? Xiao Lulang looked at him in confusion. Lu Yixing looked at Xiao Lulang and said, When Dr. Gu treats me, she either receives less or no treatment. I owe Dr. Gu a favor and cannot accept your gift. Xiao Lulang looked at Lu Yixing again. Other than his pale complexion, he had handsome features, red lips, and white teeth. He really had a good appearance. So, one royal prince and was not enough, and now there was another Lu Yixing? Xiao Liulong's eyes suddenly became cold. Lu Yixing, Ming-er's injury was a little serious. When the rod hit him, it almost broke his spine. Although his spine was saved, his spleen was ruptured. After little Jing Kong fell asleep in Gu Jiao's arms, Gu Jiao put little Jing Kong on the bed and covered him with a blanket. Then, she turned to the next room to check on Ming-er. Ming-er was also asleep. Princess Yu's eyes were red and swollen. Since Ming-er said that he had found her younger brother and asked her not to cry, her tears had not stopped. It was heartache and self-blame, but also the satisfaction and happiness of being loved deeply. The pain of losing her son seemed to be no longer important. Looking at the child who had almost lost his life for her, she suddenly felt that it was the greatest honor in her life to be his mother. Miss Gu, thank you so much this time. Thank you for saving Ming-er again. Princess Yu stood up and thanked Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao stopped her from bowing and shook her head slightly. You don't have to thank me. The person who really saved him is you. When Gu Jiao was operating on Ming Er was in a critical condition of hemorrhage and needed an emergency blood transfusion. Unfortunately, Ming Er turned out to have a very rare blood type. No one at the scene matched his blood type, except for Princess Yu. It was Princess Yu who gave Ming Er a second life. Gu Jiao said seriously, from now on, your blood flows in his body. Princess Yu nodded with a choked voice. She leaned over and touched Ming Er's forehead with her forehead. 2 drops of hot tears fell. Even without this, he would always be her son. Ming Er was recuperating in Gu Jiao's small courtyard. Little Jing Kong came to the medical center to accompany him after school. Obviously, the two of them who had been through the same ordeal became real brothers. Even though little Jing Kong already knew that he was not his biological brother, it did not affect the revolutionary friendship between the two of them. Ming Er spoke Zhao State dialect very well, but little Jing Kong's Liang State dialect was not good enough. Ming Er often tutored him. With the language environment, little Jing Kong's Liang State dialect improved a lot. On this day, little Jing Kong accompanied Ming Er to the courtyard to bask in the sun. Ming Er suddenly said to little Jing Kong, I want to be a general in the future. What about you? Little Jing Kong thought for a while and said seriously, I want to study and be the top scholar. Ming Er was disappointed. It would be great if you could be a general. If the two countries are at war in the future, I will retreat 30 miles for you. Little Jing Kong was successfully led astray by him. He imagined himself leading the army and patted his chest. Then I won't kill your soldiers. In the blink of an eye, it was April. Ming Er's injury gradually healed, and the negotiations between the two countries were coming to an end. Although Prince Yu did not ask for the child, he did not take back the glazing technology. He still gave it to Zhao State as an equivalent exchange. As for the unequal trade, there was not much room for compromise. Kindness was kindness, and politics was politics. Moreover, the kindness was Gu Jiao's personal behavior, and it had nothing to do with the imperial court. Prince Yu was an excellent politician. He would never act on impulse. The glazed glass technology was already his biggest concession. If he acted first and reported later, he would be scolded by the monarch when he returned. To be honest, the emperor was quite surprised by this result. There was no doubt that Liang State was here to cut their meat. In the past, they exchanged the drainage technology for 3 large and small mines in Zhao State. In comparison, they were quite merciful this year. The world was divided into 6 countries. Yan State, Liang State, and Jin State were the upper countries, while Zhao State, Chen State, and Zhao State were the lower countries. In fact, there was Tuju's State, but the 6 countries did not recognize it as a country. Chen State had a good relationship with Jin State in recent years, and its relationship with the other countries was not too bad. Zhao State could not break its relationship with Liang State, or it would become isolated and helpless. At the end of April, the envoy from Liang State also finished his trip in the capital. The emperor personally sent the envoy from Liang State off in the throne room, and then the crown prince and Marquis Xianping sent the envoy out of the capital. Before leaving, Ming Er went to the medical center. He had already removed the stitches. Although he could not jump around, he recovered quickly, and it was not a problem for him to move around on the ground. He came to say goodbye to his little brother. If you go to Liang State in the future, remember to find me at Prince Yu's mansion. I will treat you to delicious food. After knowing that little Jing Kong had a boundless appetite, Ming Er categorized little Jing Kong as a foodie. Little Jing Kong, actually, the real foodie in the family is my great-aunt. This is for you. Ming Er gave his favorite scimitar to little Jing Kong. This was not an ordinary scimitar. It was a gift he caught during the catch ceremony. The people of Liang State valued the catch ceremony very much, and they would not give it away easily. Little Jing Kong was actually a little confused. He was a scholar. Why would he need a scimitar? He would not need it in the future. But since it was a gift from Ming Er, he happily accepted it, and then planned to give Ming Er a gift in return. In order to avoid the same situation as Ming he opened his small box and let Ming choose by himself. You can pick whatever you like. Little Jing Kong's things were in a mess. Gu Jiao cleaned it up, but it was messed up by little Jing Kong after a few days. For Ming who was used to using gold, silver, and jade, it was like a big car accident scene. Ming suddenly sympathized with his little brother. His little brother's family was too poor, and he could not even afford a decent toy. When he returned to the country, he would definitely send his little brother the best toy. In order not to hurt his little brother's self-esteem, Ming resisted the urge to quickly close the box, and chose the most inconspicuous small box. He did not take the big pieces of junk inside. Maybe his little brother could exchange them for some money in the future. Ming felt that a scimitar was not enough, so he asked the eunuch, "Do you have money with you?" "Yes," the eunuch said. "Give it to me. Give it to me." Ming robbed the eunuch of his money, and took out an old yellowed paper from the box, and put the banknotes in it. He also kept the box for his little brother, in case the box could be sold for some money. After that, Ming reluctantly bid farewell to little Jing Kong. After that, the family set foot on the road back to Liang State. The visit of the Liang State's envoys had a huge impact on Zhao State, but for the people, it was just something to talk about. Of course, in the near future, they might feel this change personally. Zhao State had the imperial examination in spring this year, and the two sides inevitably talked about the imperial examination. The imperial examination system of Liang State was much more complete than that of Zhao State, not only because Liang State did not test the military examination, but also because Liang State did not test the 8 parts of the body, but added mathematics, law, agriculture, and astronomy. To a large extent, this broadened the comprehensive ability of talents. If it was changed to Gu Jiao's words in her previous life, it would be like taking the liberal arts and science examination together, and not only liberal arts students would have a way out. Of course, the 4 books and 5 classics was still the most important. The emperor felt that this kind of imperial examination was very good. He liked astronomy and mathematics, and maybe Zhao State could imitate it in the future. On the surface, the old duke had resigned, so he did not have to worry about receiving the envoys. He had been recuperating in his mansion these days. Last time, when he got drunk and woke up, the old duke remembered what he had promised at the dinner table. He regretted it. How could he be hot-headed and say that his son should call the other person father? That little brother was really too much. At such a young age, how could he have such a strange hobby? But a gentleman's word cannot be taken back. He, Gu Chao, was a person who kept his promises. He would not go back on his words. Therefore, on the first day that Marquis Gu recovered, the old duke stepped into his room with a cordial expression. Ever since Marquis Gu had been beaten up by his father, this was the first time he saw his father, and he was pleasantly surprised. He cupped his hands and bowed. "Father." "Yes." The Marquis cleared his throat and asked, "How's your injury? Have you recovered?" His father was here to show concern for him? Marquis Gu was flattered. "I'm much better. I made father worry, it's my fault." "There was no need to worry about you." The old duke coughed again and said, "I came to tell you something. I found a father for you." Marquis Gu was confused. "No, I can understand you finding a mother for me, but what do you mean by finding a father for me? Have you become so hardcore as you get older? What's wrong with not respecting your elders?" The old duke also realized that he had said something wrong and hurriedly corrected him. "I found a father for you." This sentence was no better than the one just now. Why else would military generals be said to be dumb with words? If the old chancellor was here, there would definitely be 100 ways to explain it beautifully and clearly. "It means that I have become sworn brothers, sworn brothers. According to seniority, you are also his son, so you have to call him father." The old duke simply brought him to meet his brother. Gu Jiao told the old duke that her surname was Gu. She used this surname when she was in the martial arts club, so it was not convenient to change it. Moreover, Gu Jiao was too lazy to change it. There were many people with the surname Gu in the capital. Not only did the old Duke not suspect, but he also felt that the two of them were fated. They both had the surname Gu and even became sworn brothers. This kind of fate was hard to find. The old Duke and Gu Jiao contacted each other through Taihe Martial Arts Club. They would leave letters and replies in the martial arts club. The old Duke left a letter for Gu Jiao, inviting him to meet at the tea house tomorrow evening. He would bring his unfilial son. Gu Jiao quickly replied to him. There was only one word on the letter. Okay. After Gu Jiao finished her work in the medical center, she changed into a gongzi outfit, put on a coquettish peacock feather mask, and happily went to the tea house. Today, someone was going to call her father. Gu Jiao waited quietly in the room of the tea house. Because she was a little excited, she swayed her legs in front of the chair a few times. The old Duke was a punctual person, so he didn't let Gu Jiao wait for too long. He took Marquis Gu to the second floor of the tea house. Master Gu is here, the waiter said with a smile. Gu. Father. Your sworn brother's surname is also Gu? Marquis Gu inexplicably felt strange. The old Duke glared at him. Don't offend him later. I know. How would I dare to offend your sworn brother? The old Duke had been saying this all the way, as if he was afraid that he was insensible and would do something to the other person. What a joke. He was a marquis after all, and had been in the bureaucracy for many years. How could he not know how to deal with people? Wasn't it just calling him father? Godfather and godfather were both fathers. It wasn't a loss to call him father's brother. Creak. The old Duke pushed the door open and said in a refreshed manner, Little brother Gu, big brother is here. Little brother. Shouldn't he call him little brother? Marquis Gu's mind was thinking of an old man about the same age as his own father. Who would have thought that when he entered the room, he would see a young man as white as jade? The young man was even wearing a coquettish peacock feather mask. Marquis Gu was completely dumbfounded. He was going to call this kid father? Gu Jiao couldn't hide her excitement any longer. She sat upright and still with her eyes wide open, looking at Marquis Gu. Hurry up and call him. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1130133503. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 249. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Marquis Gu must not call him that. How old is this kid? Don't judge him by his mask, his eyes, hands, and even his figure revealed his age. He's about the same age as Yen. How can I call him father? His father is really too much. It's one thing to become sworn brothers at such an old age, but how did he get his own son involved? Did he really just pick him up? Otherwise, how could he cheat his son's father? What Marquis Gu didn't know was that not only did he have a father who cheated his son, he also had a daughter who cheated her father. Call him father. Old Marquis Gu reminded him with false bravado. Actually, he also knew that he went overboard. How could he let his son call his brother father? At most, he would call him uncle. But it was still the same sentence. He had already agreed. He was a person who cared about face, so he could only cheat his son. I won't. It was too embarrassing. Marquis Gu was also a person with integrity. His father cared about face, so did he? If he said he wouldn't call him father, he wouldn't call him father even if he was beaten to death. Old Marquis Gu couldn't back down and really raised his hand to slap him. It was simply too natural for a father to hit his son. Marquis Gu closed his eyes. Fine, hit me. I'll let you hit me. Call me father, I lose. However, Gu Jiao stopped the old Marquis and used a charcoal pencil to write on a small piece of paper, "Don't listen to teach slowly. As a father, you have to be patient." Gu Jiao wrote a few more words and showed them to Marquis Gu. "Come, eat dinner." Marquis Gu glanced at the messy words and the corner of his mouth twitched. He seemed to understand how his father became sworn brothers with the other party. Just based on this ugly character, it was simply the same as the men of the Gu family. In the Gu family, even someone as outstanding as Gu Chongqing could write indescribably with a brush. So his father must have found a sense of intimacy with the other party's calligraphy? But then again, he couldn't speak? Was he a little mute? Marquis Gu sized him up. The mask covered half of his face, but judging from his eyes and chin, he should be an exquisite young man. What a pity. Marquis Gu sat down beside him. Now that her status was different, Gu Jiao looked at Marquis Gu differently from before. She showed great interest in Marquis Gu. She looked at Marquis Gu like an old father. Marquis Gu felt his hair stand on end. Is it really okay for a teenager like you to look at people like that? The dishes were quickly served. Marquis Gu was shocked. Why were they all his favorite dishes? Marquis Gu peeled a prawn. Gu Jiao showed a gratified and praising expression. Marquis Gu: "No, I'm just peeling a prawn. Is it necessary? I'm not a retard." Then, Marquis Gu began to eat. Gu Jiao didn't say anything during the whole process, but Marquis Gu felt that her eyes were like this. Look, look. He ate prawns. He knew how to eat prawns. Look, look. He ate fish. He knew how to spit thorns. This was just Marquis Gu's imagination. He felt that she didn't mean that, but what was the meaning of her excited expression? You want to eat? Marquis Gu held the peeled prawn and asked Gu Jiao. He didn't want to ask, but he felt his hair stand on end from her gaze. Gu Jiao nodded. Marquis Gu put the prawn in her bowl. Gu Jiao tilted her head proudly. Marquis Gu seemed to read another sentence from her small eyes. Wow, so filial. Marquis Gu was shocked by his own conjecture. Stop your brain. Stop your brain. The old Marquis met an acquaintance and went out to greet him. Only the two of them were left in the room. Gu Jiao didn't give up on the idea of making him call her father. She wrote with a charcoal pencil, "If you call father, I'll give you a red packet." Marquis Gu peeled the prawn. "Ha ha ha, if you call me father, I'll give you a red packet." Gu Jiao thought for a while and wrote, "Give more or less." Marquis Gu Jiao wrote again, "I don't study good writing. Not good. How do you pronounce this word?" The word was written crookedly. Marquis Gu tried his best to make out the outline. He frowned and said uncertainly, "Drop?" Gu Jiao: "Yes." Marquis Gu: "What kind of sly little thing was this?" Wait, there was something wrong with the voice. It seemed to be a little girl. Marquis Gu's body trembled as he suddenly looked at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao touched her fingers. She was too excited just now and accidentally answered. Marquis Gu looked her up and down, not letting go of a single strand of her hair. "You are..." Gu Jiao shook her head decisively. "I'm not." Marquis Gu stood up suddenly. "You are..." Gu Jiao punched him. "Ah." Marquis Gu had a panda eye and he covered his left eye. In this moment of distraction, Gu Jiao rushed out of the door. Marquis Gu took a while to recover. This familiar strength, this familiar formula. Why was it so similar to that stinky girl? Although Marquis Gu didn't have any evidence, he felt that there was no other person in the world who was so daring other than that stinky girl. In order to confirm his guess, Marquis Gu didn't care if his father was still in the tea house receiving guests and chased after her with large strides. How could his body, which had been recuperating for half a month, be compared to Gu Jiao who trained every day? He lost her in a short while. He went to the medical hall. Gu Jiao wasn't there. Not there. Very well. He immediately went to Jade Water Alley. He wanted to see where that girl could hide this time. The courtyard door was left ajar. He angrily walked in. Just as he was about to yell for that stinky girl to get out here, he saw Yao Shi wearing a loose yellow dress and sitting on a rattan chair in the front yard embroidering. After not seeing her for a long time, Yao Shi's face had become rounder and her complexion was ruddier. She wasn't fat, but she looked much more beautiful. Marquis Gu was immediately stunned. Senior servant Fong was the first to notice him and bowed. "Marquis." Yao Shi slowly turned her face. Perhaps it was because she was comfortable here, but the gloominess between her brows had disappeared. Her eyes were clear and her entire body exuded a motherly gentleness. Marquis Gu had never seen Yao Shi like this before. Yao Shi put down the needle and thread in her hand. "Marquis, why have you come?" I came to see you." Marquis Gu walked forward and said. Yao Shi pointed at the stool to the side. "Marquis, please sit. I'll go make a pot of tea for you." Senior servant Fong said and left. Marquis Gu looked at Yao Shi and could not move his eyes away. He held Yao Shi's hand. "It was my fault for not coming to see you these days." "It's fine." Yao Shi asked, "Is Jean Yu doing well?" Ever since Yao Shi moved out, she had not returned. Jean Yu had come to see her at first, but he had not come recently. "He's doing well. He just misses you a little." After Marquis Gu said this, his gaze fell on her slightly plump figure. He wanted to ask if she had gotten fat, but when the words reached his lips, he felt that this was a suicidal question. He changed the topic. "That's right, is Jiao Jiao home?" Yao Shi gently said, "She hasn't woken up from her afternoon nap." "You're looking for her?" Marquis Gu muttered. "What time is it now?" "She's still taking an afternoon nap?" Yao Shi said, "She slept late. Do you need something from her?" Marquis Gu cleared his throat and shook his head, saying, Nothing, I'm just concerned about her." "Has she been home all afternoon?" Yao Shi nodded. There's nothing going on at the clinic today. She's been at home the entire time." Could it be that it wasn't that girl? Was he thinking too much? Yao Shi would not lie to him. It seemed that he was thinking too much. The dates for the court examination were out. The minor exam was set for the 15th of the 4th month, while the main exam was set for the 17th of the 4th month. The minor exam was a test before the court examination. It was held in the Imperial Palace. The purpose was to let the examinees familiarize themselves with the examination environment and listen to the rules. This was to prevent them from losing their composure in front of the emperor. The minor exam did not count towards the results, but they could not blindly take the exam as it would offend the examiners. On the 11th and 12th day of the 4th month, the examination hall would give out matching cards and examinations to all the examinees. The matching cards were used to enter the palace, while the examinations were used to enter the examination hall. The examinations and matching cards had to be personally received by the examinees. Early in the morning of the 11th day, Feng Lin and Lin Chengye came to Bai Shui Alley to find Xiao Lulang. The three of them brought their examinees' documents and went to the examination hall to exchange for matching cards and examinations. The documents had to be kept at the examination hall. After the examination, they had to return the matching cards and examinations to exchange for the examinees' documents. The three of them met Du Ruhan at the entrance. In the examination, Feng Lin was ranked 176th while Lin Chengye was ranked 123rd. Both of them were ranked towards the bottom. Du Ruhan was ranked 15th and was just a few places away from entering the top 10. He was a seeded candidate that everyone had high hopes for. Feng Lin patted Du Ruhan's shoulder. Good luck, little belly. Do well in the court examination and strive to rank alongside Lu Lang. Du Ruhan snorted. Why should I go with him? Can't I rank on my own? Also, what's wrong with the two of you? Don't you want to rank on the imperial examination? Du Ruhan's aptitude was considered to be one of the best in the capital. Otherwise, Zhuang Xianji would not have personally spent time and effort to teach him. Feng Lin and Lin Chengye were both hard-working geniuses. If they had not met a formidable teacher like Xiao Lu Lang, the two of them might not even be able to pass the examination. Rank on the imperial examination? The two of them should just forget about it. Du Ruhan saw that the two of them did not have much fighting spirit and hurriedly said, all right, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's go and line up. Let's see if the four of us can line up together. Although they could not cheat if they lined up together, it was still a psychological comfort in this unfamiliar and dignified environment. Xiao Lu Lang did not say anything and silently lined up behind the three of them. Lu Lang, come to the front. Feng Lin said. Du Ruhan snorted. You only know how to spoil him. Lin Chengye also took a step back to make room for Xiao Lu Lang. Du Ruhan's mouth twitched. The examination numbers were the same as the court examination, and the seats were the same as well. When the four of them received their examination tickets, they saw two people sitting together. It was Du Ruhan and Xiao Lu Lang. Digression. He suddenly realized that today's chapter number was also very appropriate. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that cannot be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/113010567 HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 250. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that cannot be found online are available here. Feng Lin said enviously, I really envy you for being able to sit next to Lu Lang. Their numbers were connected. If they were not front and back, then they were left and right. Du Ruhan rolled his eyes. What's there to be envious about? If you like it, I'll swap with you. He did not understand. When they were young, he and Feng Lin were the closest. Xiao Lu Lang was an outsider and had only lived here for a short time. How did he succeed in pushing him down? Feng Lin said, I want to swap, but I need the examiner's permission. Lin Chengye also showed great envy. He also wanted to sit next to Xiao Lu Lang. Du Ruhan did not understand. No, what's wrong with you two? Sitting next to him means you can copy his exam papers or something. Feng Lin gave him a look that could only be understood, but not explained. You don't understand. As long as I sit next to Lu Lang, my heart will be at ease. Lin Chengye also nodded. He felt the same. Feng Lin was from Song County. Although his family lived in the county, his grandparents and family lived in the countryside. To put it bluntly, he was a poor country boy who had never seen the world. The court exam was about to begin. He was about to meet the emperor of Zhao country. Just thinking about it made his legs go weak. Although Lin Chengye was the son of the richest man in Yuzhou, since ancient times, merchants had a low status and were not respected in the world. When the Imperial College's students mentioned him, it was mostly because his family was filthy rich. There were even people who said that his ranking was bought with money. In short, Lin Chengye was more afraid of meeting the emperor than Feng Lin. Xiao Lu Lang looked at the two. Don't think too much. Just take the exam normally. The emperor is not a poisonous snake or a beast. He will not punish the examinees for small matters. Du Ruhan snorted. You haven't seen him before. How do you know? Xiao Lulang did not respond. In fact, he was the one who felt the real pressure. He had a premonition that as long as he entered the palace, he would definitely attract the attention of the emperor. Although he had enough confidence to deal with it, he could not guarantee what the emperor's attitude would be. Feng Lin was also convinced by Du Ruhan. She was always targeting Lulang. He said, all right, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's go back. Little Belly, are you going back to the Zhuang family or are you coming with us? We plan to go to Liulong's house to bet on the exam questions. Du Ruhan originally wanted to say that she didn't want to go, but she thought of something and asked, Is Jianyong around? Xiao Lulang looked at him coldly. She's not here. Du Ruhan. In the end, Du Ruhan still went. Zhuang Xianji was an old-fashioned man. He would never bet on the exam questions. He believed that whether a person could pass the exam had nothing to do with luck. Therefore, for Du Ruhan to be able to reach where he was today, other than his own excellence, he had indeed put in more effort than ordinary people. Zhuang Xianji never talked about the exam questions, but Du Ruhan was full of knowledge. Gu Jiao wasn't at home today. She had just received a letter from Xue Ningxiang. In the letter, Xue Ningxiang said that her mother-in-law's health was deteriorating. Xue Ningxiang asked her to pass a letter to Zhou Erzwang to see if he could come back to see his mother for the last time. Gu Jiao knew about Xue Ningxiang's mother-in-law's health. She was aging normally. All the major organs were failing, and medicine couldn't reverse it. Gu Jiao didn't know much about the situation in the barracks. She wasn't sure if Zhou Erzwang could ask for leave to go home. It was said that Xue Ningxiang's mother-in-law could, but hadn't she passed away? Gu Jiao thought about it and decided to go to the barracks. Deputy General who was transferred back to the Hushan barracks. Gu Chongqing was also in this barracks. Gu Jiao didn't bother him. She only asked the guard to pass a message to Zhou Erzwang, saying that she would wait for him outside the barracks. Zhou Erzwang became Deputy General Hu's personal guard. His status was much higher than before, and no one would treat him perfunctorily anymore. The guard went to report. However, Zhou Erzwang was in the middle of training. He was the target of training, so he couldn't leave halfway. The guard asked Gu Jiao to wait. Gu Jiao didn't wait for long. Gu Chongqing came out from inside. Gu Chongqing was also in the middle of training. However, he was the one training others, so it didn't matter if he walked for a while. What a coincidence. Gu Jiao greeted him. Gu Chongqing nodded. How could there be such a coincidence? It was just someone's deliberate plan. Gu Chongqing had already told the guard that if a girl surnamed Gu came to the Hushan barracks, he must be informed. Just now, the guard went to inform Gu Chongqing first, and then went to inform Zhou Erzwang. Gu Chongqing didn't say anything about this. Gu Chongqing saw that she was holding a letter in her hand. He asked, Are you going to send a letter to Zhou Erzwang? Gu Jiao nodded. Yes. There's a letter from his family. His mother is seriously ill and hopes to see him for the last time. Can your barracks ask for leave? Of course. Gu Chongqing said lightly. The guard on the side was dumbfounded. Lieutenant, is it really okay for you to lie through your teeth like this? The general of the Hushan barracks was famous for being unreasonable. It was harder for a small guard like Zhou Erzwang to ask for leave than to ascend to the sky. Unless he didn't want to mingle in the barracks, he would be demoted when he came back. Gu Chongqing stretched out his hand. Leave it to me. You go back first, and I will tell him. Gu Jiao thought for a moment. Okay. Tell him to go to the medical center before he goes back. I have some things to take back. Gu Chongqing took the letter and watched Gu Jiao get on the carriage. Then, he turned around and entered the barracks. Deputy General who was not his subordinate, nor was he his immediate superior. He was General Rand's subordinate, and Deputy General who was General Qin's subordinate. He didn't have many personal relationships with General Qin and Deputy General Hu. He hesitated for a moment, but still went to Deputy General Hu's tent and told him about Zhou Erzwang. My younger sister and his sister-in-law are old friends. He also explained why he helped Zhou Erzwang several times. Deputy General Hu suddenly realized why Zhou Erzwang could ask the heir of the Marquis of Ding and Fu to personally deliver something. It turned out that there was this layer of relationship involved. Zhou Erzwang was a bumpkin from the countryside. His brother and sister-in-law were also countrymen. Their old friends should also be countrymen. Deputy General Hu had long heard that the daughter of the Marquis Fu was born with a wrong person and grew up among the commoners. Presumably, this was her. Gu Chongqing stopped talking about the matter of the family. Deputy General Hu also tactfully didn't probe further. He smiled and said, "This boy has been by my side for several years and has suffered a lot. He is bold and careful, and has also performed meritorious deeds. One year, he passed by Yuzhou while delivering a letter for me. In order to not delay the military situation, he didn't pass through the door. It's time to give him a vacation." There was an element of exaggeration in these words. Zhou Erzwang's ability to endure hardships and his bravery to kill the enemy was not fake, but to pass through the door and enter was a bit of a stretch. He had passed by Yuzhou on the waterway and was about 100 li away from Qingchuan village. Gu Chongqing saw through these superficial words but didn't expose them. "It was my younger sister who requested this, so I'll have to trouble Lord Hu." His Highness was always talking about his sister. Was their relationship that good? Growing up in the countryside, they hadn't seen each other many times. Gu Chongqing was famous for his cold face in the military camp. He had never heard him mention any family members, including his 2 younger brothers and the talented daughter in the mansion. He thought that he didn't like his younger brothers and sisters, but his eyes softened when he mentioned his younger sister today. Deputy General Hu touched his nose. Today was really strange. However, Deputy General Hu was flattered that the military commandant, who never made friends with others, took the initiative to come to him. Today's matter was equivalent to Gu Chongqing owing him a favor. As for General Liao Qi, he had a suitable reason. The next day, Zhou Erzwang carried his luggage and went to the medical center. "Excuse me, is Gu Jiao's mother here?" he asked shopkeeper Wang. Shopkeeper Wang looked at Gu Jiao, who was checking the medicine cabinet, and said, "Miss Gu, someone is looking for you. These medicinal materials are a little damp. Take them out to dry." Gu Jiao ordered the medicine boy and turned to the counter. "Who is looking for me?" Shopkeeper Wang pointed to Zhou Erzwang. Zhou Erzwang looked at Gu Jiao, stunned. This is Zhao Nyang? She was different from what he remembered. Even if Xue Ningxiang repeatedly emphasized in the letter that Gu Jiao's illness had been cured and she was a normal girl, Zhou Erzwang still didn't associate the girl in front of him with the little fool in his memory. The difference was too big. If there was any feature that hadn't changed, it would probably be the birthmark on her face. Zhou Erzwang? Gu Jiao guessed the other person's identity. "Ah yes. I'm Zhou Erzwang." Zhou Erzwang awkwardly came back to his senses. He had learned some manners when he was with Deputy General Hu. It was very impolite to stare at people like this. Gu Jiao didn't mind. She looked at the bundle on his back and asked, "Are you going to set off?" Zhou Erzwang said, "Yes, Deputy General Hu has a task for me. I have to deliver a letter to Governor Liu in Yuzhou. I have to personally deliver it to Governor Liu. Deputy General Hu allowed me to go home after delivering the letter." It sounded good. This was a task, so it was better to go home on the way. It was better than simply asking for leave. Gu Jiao didn't know that this was the result of Gu Chongqing's intervention. She said to Zhou Erzwang, "Wait a minute. I have something to ask you to bring back." "Okay." Gu Jiao went back to the small courtyard and took out a big bundle. She told him in detail what was for Xue Ningxiang, what was for Dean Li, and what was for Luo Lijing. Finally, she gave Zhou Erzwang a bundle of traveling expenses. Zhou Erzwang hurriedly refused, You usually give me this and that. It's enough. I can't take any more of your traveling expenses. Besides, I'm going to carry out a task this time. Deputy General who gave me some money. He even gave a lot of money. It was all thanks to Gu Chongqing. However, Deputy General who didn't let him know. He insisted on not accepting it. Gu Jiao didn't force him. Okay. Be careful. Oh. I'll go now. Zhou Erzwang suddenly felt lucky that he didn't bully Jiaonyang when he was young. He was quite magnanimous when he met her, but he was quite surprised. Zhou Erzwang walked away, but he couldn't help but look back. The Imperial College wasn't on vacation these days, but the candidates who were going to participate in the court examination didn't go to class. They were all resting at home or in their bedrooms. There wasn't much content in the court examination. It only tested 1 or 2 subjects. It wasn't as difficult as the previous exams. It mainly depended on the parties and the emperor's preferences. At this point, everyone knew how strong they were. There wasn't much point in cramming at the last minute. It was better to relax and maintain a good state. Xiao Lulang didn't go to class at the Imperial College. He only went to pick up little Jing Kong when school was over. This afternoon, he had a Kuju class. There was a small Kuju competition. The class was delayed for a while. When little Jing Kong came out, it was already dark. Xiao Lulang looked at the little guy's sweaty face and handed him a handkerchief in disdain. Wipe it yourself. Little Jing Kong pouted. Jiao Jiao always helps me wipe it. Xiao Lulang, wipe it yourself. Little Jing Kong shamelessly said, I'm tired. I'm so tired. Okay, you're tired. Xiao Lulang raised his eyebrows, carried the little guy over, and wiped his sweat. Then, the two of them walked back. Coincidentally, the carriage from the palace that came to pick up Qin Chuyu also arrived. The curtain was lifted, and a beautiful figure walked out of the carriage. Who else could it be but the Crown Princess? The Crown Princess usually didn't get out of the carriage. Today, she was bored out of her wits and wanted to get some fresh air. Unexpectedly, she bumped into Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang wasn't wearing the Imperial College's uniform. Instead, he was wearing a simple but elegant white robe. The Crown Princess froze. The Crown Princess had seen Xiao Lulang from afar in the carriage before. It was completely different from up close. At that time, it was just a blurry side profile. Now, it was a full frontal view. For a moment, she seemed to see the little Duke again. However, he seemed to be more beautiful. He had a youthful and reserved temperament that was between a teenager and a man. One couldn't look away from him. The two female officials were also stunned. They were also stunned by Xiao Liulong's appearance. But soon, the three of them noticed little Jing Kong beside Xiao Lulang. The Crown Princess had seen little Jing Kong before. He, Qin Chuyu, and the Minister of War's grandson, Su Zhozhou, had beaten up Prince Liang Guoyu's son. She heard that he was a commoner. Was he related to this person? Was this person really someone who looked similar to the young Marquis? Little Jing Kong was on the other side of Xiao Lulang. He was blocked by Xiao Lulang, so he didn't see the Crown Princess. Xiao Lulang didn't seem to see him either. He held little Jing Kong's hand and walked past the Crown Princess without looking sideways. The Crown Princess's gaze followed him. She turned around and looked at his back as he walked away with his cane. Suddenly, she asked the female official beside her, "You said last time, who took the commoner's child away?" The female official bowed and said, "Crown Princess, it was Marquis Xianping." The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896422826/1129844432 HTML genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 251. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more exciting content. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are available here. After the Crown Princess received Qin Chuyu, she didn't immediately return to the palace. Instead, she took Qin Chuyu to Marquis Schwamping's estate. It wasn't convenient for her to visit the Marquis's estate, but Qin Chuyu was Marquis Schwamping's nephew. It was only right for him to visit Marquis Xianping. Unfortunately, Marquis Xianping wasn't in the estate today. He was secretly stirring up trouble with the emperor and the old Marquis again. The Crown Princess wasn't discouraged, but Steward Lu was in the estate. He was Marquis Schwamping's trusted aide and had been running around for Marquis Xianping for the past few years. He was only summoned back by Marquis Xianping last year. If there was anyone who knew Marquis Schwamping's affairs like the back of their hand, it would be Chongjing and Steward Lu. Qin Chuyu was having a great time eating in the carriage. I think I dropped my hairpin. I'll go down and look for it. Do you want me to go with you? No need. The Crown Princess smiled gently. Qin Chuyu nodded and continued to eat. The Crown Princess got off the carriage and went to another carriage. She saw Steward Lu waiting there. She didn't beat around the bush and asked directly, Marquis, do you know a child called Jing Kong? Jing Kong? Steward Lu found the name familiar. The Crown Princess continued, he's a student from the Imperial College's prodigy class. He's 4 years old this year and is friends with His Highness the 7th Prince. Steward Lu said, Ah, I remember now. However, it wasn't because of His Highness the 7th Prince, but because of that student from the Imperial College's prodigy class. Wasn't he the young master's brother-in-law? Steward Lu asked, Crown Princess, are you here to ask about that child? The Crown Princess stared at Steward Lu. Do you know that he has someone who looks a lot like the young Marquis? You've seen him? Steward Lu was very surprised, but when he thought about it, he wasn't too surprised. Little young master was studying at the Imperial College, and His Highness the 7th Prince was also studying at the Imperial College. If the Crown Princess frequently went to fetch His Highness the 7th Prince, wouldn't she encounter little young master? Who is he? The Crown Princess asked. Steward Lu hesitated for a moment before telling the truth. He is the Marquis's illegitimate son. Surprise flashed across the Crown Prince consort's eyes. Illegitimate child? Steward Lu sighed. That's right. Didn't the Marquis go to Zhongnan to control the flood 1 year? That year, the Marquis fell in love with a woman in Song County, and the young master is their child. The Crown Princess said thoughtfully, I've never heard the Marquis mention it before. Steward Lu sighed again. The Marquis only just found out. The Marquis summoned me back to the capital to investigate the young master's whereabouts. However, the young master seemed to have some misunderstandings about the Marquis. He thought that the Marquis had abandoned him and his mother, so he refused to acknowledge the Marquis. Don't tell anyone about this. The Crown Princess paused and nodded. I understand. I will keep it a secret for the Marquis. After all, it was not something to be proud of. The Crown Prince consort didn't say anything else and turned to board the carriage. Was it because they were biological brothers that they looked so similar? But why did he feel that something was wrong? The Crown Prince consort brought Qin Chuyu back to the palace. When they arrived at the palace gates, they ran into the Crown Prince who had just returned from the Ministry of Rites. The negotiations between the Liang and the Zhao were very successful. The Emperor and the ministers believed that the Crown Prince and the Crown Prince consort contributed a lot. They treated the Liang envoys very well and didn't make any more mistakes like burning the pleasure boats. The Emperor greatly praised the couple and let the Crown Prince and the Ministry of Rites host the court examination this time. The Crown Prince was very focused. These days, he went to the Ministry of Rites to study whenever he had time. He didn't make arbitrary decisions. Instead, he humbly asked for advice and received a lot of praise from the Ministry of Rites. Today, he had just been praised by the Minister of Rites and was in a good mood. When he saw the Crown Prince Consort and Qin Chuyu, he lifted the curtain of his carriage and said to them, "Lin Lang, let seventh brother return to the Eastern Palace. Come with me. I want to go too." Qin Chuyu instantly felt that the dessert in his hand didn't taste good. The Crown Prince said, "Go back and do your homework." Qin Chuyu's mouth twitched. The Crown Prince Consort comforted him gently. "Do your homework first. I'll bring you osmanthus cake tonight." The palace also had osmanthus cake. Qin Chuyu was sick of the palace's cakes. He always felt that the ones outside were more delicious. Qin Chuyu said slowly, "Okay. Remember to come back early." Qin Chuyu was brought back to the Eastern Palace by the palace servants. The Crown Prince Consort got into the Crown Prince's carriage. The Crown Prince's travels were very low-key. The carriage didn't look big and only had 2 horses. However, the interior of the carriage was very luxurious. The Crown Prince held the Crown Prince Consort's hand and couldn't hide his smile. "Lin Lang, did you forget what day it is today?" "Ah." The Crown Prince Consort was slightly stunned. Then, she lowered her head and smiled. "How could I forget such an important day? 10 years ago today, His Highness and I met at Zueyun Tavern. I was 10 years old, and the Crown Prince was 12. Every year on this day, His Highness would bring me to Zueyun Tavern." The Crown Prince squeezed her hand. "The first time I saw you, I felt that you would definitely be my Crown Prince Consort in the future." The Crown Prince Consort smiled with a hint of shyness. The Crown Prince's eyes were burning. His voice was hoarse. "I suddenly regret bringing you out." Dusk was setting in the west, and the sky was a flirtatious orange-red. The capital in April wasn't so cold anymore. There was even a hint of warmth in the evening breeze. Little Jing Kong was held by Xiao Lulang as he skipped down the alley. That's right, he skipped down the alley. He rarely gave Xiao Lulang face unless Xiao Lulang was willing to take him to the medical center to find Gu Jiao. Little Jing Kong had already showered and changed into dry clothes. He smelled good. He could give Jiao Jiao a hug. "You're not 3 years old anymore. Can't you be more mature?" Xiao Liulong's hand was almost pulled off by the little guy. Little Jing Kong spread his other hand. "But 4 years old isn't too old. The Princess Consort said that I'm still a baby." Xiao Lulang gave him a contemptuous look. "You're in charge of the sky, the earth, and the air every day. You even care if your brother-in-law gets first place in the exam. How can you say something like that? Baby." Xiao Lulang was thunderstruck. Little Jing Kong didn't receive his brother-in-law's look. He was in high spirits and started to sing, "I'm the Mount Tai next door, catch the vine of love." "Don't be afraid of my Lulang." Xiao Liulong's body trembled. "Shut up, little monk. I want to eat that." Little Jing Kong suddenly stopped his beautiful throat slitting and pointed at an alley that was emitting the aroma of sesame seeds as he spoke. Xiao Lulang chuckled. "That's an alley. You can eat it if you want." Little Jing Kong was furious. "Don't you smell the aroma? It's the smell of Jiao Jiao's favorite food." Gu Jiao loved to eat the jerky made by Xiao Liulong's classmate. The jerky was sprinkled with sesame seeds, but Xiao Lulang didn't smell it. Xiao Lulang only vaguely smelled it when they passed through the alley. He looked at little Jing Kong strangely. "Do you have a dog's nose? Why are you so sensitive?" Little Jing Kong snorted. "It's obviously your nose that's not very good." Xiao Lulang walked half a street before he found the sesame biscuit shop. Xiao Liulong's mouth twitched. "You call this a bad nose? Even a dog can't smell it, right?" This was a newly opened sesame biscuit shop. Today was the first day it officially opened, and business was good. Xiao Lulang led little Jing Kong to line up for a while and bought 2 boxes of freshly baked sesame biscuits. Little Jing Kong counted carefully and made sure that everyone in his family had one. Jiao Jiao had 2. Then, he was satisfied and was about to leave with the boxes. Just as he turned around, he bumped into Su Tsung-tang, who also came to buy sesame biscuits. Jing Kong. Tsung-tang. The two children were especially excited. They stood beside the shop and turned into little loudspeakers at the same time, chattering away. He didn't know what a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old could talk about. Xiao Lulang was speechless as he looked at the two children who were chatting happily. For a moment, he regretted bringing them along. Su Tsung-tang grabbed little Jing Kong's hand and pointed to the restaurant diagonally opposite. "That's my cousin's restaurant. My cousin is upstairs. I'll take you to see him. He's always wanted to see you. Brother-in-law, can I go with you?" Little Jing Kong looked at Xiao Lulang eagerly. He was asking for help, so he began to act cute. Xiao Lulang took a deep breath and said helplessly, "I'll wait for you here." Little Jing Kong handed the box to Xiao Lulang. Then, Su Tsung-tang ran to Zueyun restaurant diagonally opposite. Beside the sesame shop was a study room. Xiao Lulang had nothing to do, so it just so happened that he ran out of ink ingots at home. He planned to buy more the next day, so since he ran into it today, he might as well buy it. Xiao Lulang entered the study room and asked the shopkeeper for ink sticks. The shopkeeper said, "The high-quality ink sticks are inside. You can choose by yourself." Xiao Lulang went in to choose ink sticks. The room was very narrow. There were 2 rows of shelves. It was difficult to turn around once you entered. However, the ink sticks here were indeed of excellent quality. Xiao Lulang was very satisfied and picked a few pieces. At this moment, the Crown Princess passed by the door. She came to Zueyun restaurant to eat with the Crown Prince. She smelled the aroma of sesame cakes upstairs and thought that Qin Chuyu might like them. So, she came down to pick a box of sesame cakes for him. However, she saw a familiar figure when she passed by the study room. She hurried in. "Madam, what are you?" Before the shopkeeper finished speaking, the Crown Princess walked over. Xiao Lulang finished picking out the ink sticks and was about to leave when a figure walked in. The moment the figure walked in, the first row of shelves suddenly fell down, slamming the door shut and blocking it. Digression, Jiao Jiao. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964288281898. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website, zhhbqg.com. Chapter 252. The newest chapter of this book is not finished. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels to read for free. Novels with content that cannot be found online are available here. This situation was out of everyone's expectations. Even the Crown Princess stilled slightly. The moment the bookshelf fell, she instinctively took a few steps forward to avoid the unexpected disaster. But this room was narrow to begin with. After taking a few steps forward, she almost collided with Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang was the first to hear the sound and knew that someone had entered. Following that, the bookshelf collapsed and hit the door. There were no oil lamps or windows in the room. The moment the door closed, the room plunged into endless darkness. He didn't see who it was, but he instinctively took a step back, almost pressing himself against the wall. Xiao Lulang had not been unapproachable for a day or two. From the moment Feng Lin met him, he found that he had a serious obsession with social cleanliness. However, Feng Lin's skin was thicker and he always moved closer to Xiao Lulang. The Crown Princess was slightly embarrassed by the other's action of avoiding suspicion. Usually, when men encountered this kind of situation, wouldn't they be the hero saving the beauty? Of course, as the high and mighty crown princess, she would not allow herself to have any physical contact with other men. But it was one matter for her not to allow it, and another matter for others not to do so. The fragrance of a woman's rouge floated in the room. It was not the cheap rouge on the market, but the best incense from the palace. Xiao Liulong's hand that was holding the ink stick paused. While there were no lights in the room, after his eyes adjusted to the darkness, he could rely on the weak light that came through the crack in the door to open his vision a little. The other was wearing a pearl-white gauze dress. When the gauze fell, the gold and silver threads could be faintly seen in the weak light. This was shark gauze that was worth gold per inch. Supposedly, even if 100 fisherwomen worked together for a month, they would not be able to make half a bolt. This was an exaggeration, but shark gauze was a rare treasure of the palace. Palace maids did not have the right to wear it, and normal concubines did not have the right to wear it. The Ministry of Internal Affairs usually only gave it to the mistress of the inner palace, the Empress Dowager or the Empress. The Empress Dowager was no longer in the palace, and the Empress could not leave the palace. The woman's figure was graceful, like a mermaid breaking out of the water under the moonlight. It was a young woman. The room was so quiet that even breathing could be heard clearly. Xiao Lulang did not speak, nor did he take a step forward to strike up a conversation or salute. "Who are you?" After a moment of hesitation, the crown prince consort was the first to speak. Hearing this voice, Xiao Lulang tightened his grip on the ink stick in his hand, but he still did not speak. The crown princess thought to herself, could it really not be A Heng? If it was A Heng, how could he not recognize her voice? She paused for a moment and tried to walk toward him. However, she didn't know if it was intentional or not, but another row of bookshelves suddenly fell down and happened to lie between the two of them. Since she couldn't ask and couldn't pass, the crown prince consort had completely given up. The two of them didn't stay in the room for too long. The shopkeeper noticed that something was amiss and hurriedly called a waiter over to pry open the door. Unfortunately, the door was blocked, and it wouldn't be that easy to pry it open. The shopkeeper was also distressed about his own door and floor, so he did not dare cause too much trouble. Unknowingly, the opening of the door was delayed. As for the crown prince, he waited upstairs for a long time but did not see the crown prince consort return. He and the crown prince consort had come out to be alone before and did not bring any attendants. There was only a carriage driver and 2 hidden guards that were secretly protecting him. He thought for a bit, then decided to go look for her himself. The crown prince consort said that she had gone to buy sesame cakes, but he did not see her in front of the sesame shop. Thus he asked the carriage driver, "Did you see the crown prince consort?" The carriage driver said, replying to master, the crown prince consort went to the study. The crown prince frowned. What did she go to the study for? His suspicions were just suspicions, but the crown prince still strode into the study. Only after he entered did he find that something had happened in the study. His mind moved, and he walked forward, asking without getting angry, "Who was locked inside?" The shopkeeper saw that the other party had a powerful aura and was dressed in extraordinary clothes, so he respectfully said, "I did not see clearly, it was a madam." "Out of the way," the crown prince said in a heavy voice. Everyone was intimidated by his presence and pushed to the side. The crown prince lightly knocked on the door and said, "Lin Lang, are you inside?" In the darkness, the crown prince consort turned around and looked at the bookshelf in front of her. She then looked at the tightly blocked door and said, "I am here." The crown prince pushed the door, but there was no response. The shopkeeper said, "It's no use, the bookshelf inside fell and blocked the door." The crown prince said with a frown, "Why aren't you prying it open?" But we can't pry it open?" The shopkeeper wanted to smash it open with his axe, but he was worried that he would accidentally injure the person inside. The crown prince would not use his hidden guards unless he had no other choice, but he could not care so much now. He was worried that something would happen to the crown prince consort inside. He had the hidden guards appear. The 2 hidden guards were both palace experts, and a mere door was not a problem for them. The 2 quickly took down the door and removed the first shelf that was blocking the door. The Crown Prince hurriedly reached out to the Crown Prince Consort. The Crown Prince Consort took his hand and walked out of the shattered ink ingots on the ground. The Crown Prince looked her up and down and asked worriedly, "Are you okay?" The Crown Prince Consort shook her head slightly. "I'm fine. Just now, the sesame cake was waiting, so I came to choose a few ink ingots for little Chi." Qin Chuyu could not use the Imperial Palace's ink ingots as it would easily expose his identity. The Crown Prince did not suspect her and said to her, "Leave this kind of thing to the servants. Don't do it yourself. If something happens to you, I will be sad." The Crown Prince Consort smiled guiltily. "I made you worry, it's my fault." The Crown Prince said, "It's good that you are fine, let's go." The Crown Prince did not know that there was another person inside. The Crown Prince Consort looked out of the corner of her eye but did not say anything. The Crown Prince took the Crown Prince Consort's hand and threw an ingot to the shopkeeper before walking out of the study. After the shopkeeper received the ingot, he did not feel sorry for the door and the room full of broken bookshelves and ink ingots. He beamed with joy and said, "Young master, take care. Madam, take care." As he spoke, he turned and scratched his head. He looked at the messy room and said, "Huh? I remember that a scholar went in just now. Huh? Why did this bookshelf also fall? It shouldn't be." He had fixed this bookshelf properly and did not put anything heavy on it. How did it fall? Just as he was thinking, Xiao Lulang bent down and walked out from under another toppled bookshelf. The shopkeeper was stunned. There really is someone." Xiao Lulang did not say anything. He paid for the ink ingots and gave some extra money. The shopkeeper was about to ask when he said, "Loss." The loss of the second bookshelf. The shopkeeper was stunned. After little Jing Kong and Su Zhou met his relatives, they went back to the sesame cake shop to meet up with Xiao Lulang, accompanied by Su Zhou and the servants of the Su family. Little Jing Kong was a careful child. He quickly noticed that there was something wrong with his brother-in-law's hand. He stopped and looked seriously at Xiao Liulong's right hand, which was hanging in his wide sleeves. "What's wrong with your hand?" "It's nothing," Xiao Lulang said lightly. Little Jing Kong did not believe him. He grabbed Xiao Liulong's sleeve and saw a red and swollen hand. His eyes instantly widened. "It's all swollen." "How did you get it? Does it hurt?" Xiao Lulang suddenly smiled and pinched his little face. "You care about me so much?" Little Jing Kong slapped away his hand that was messing around with his face and said seriously, "I'm just worried that you won't pass the exam. Jiao Jiao bet that you'll be the top scorer. I bet all my money on you." Xiao Lulang. As soon as they arrived at the medical center, little Jing Kong found Gu Jiao, who was drying medicinal herbs in the backyard. He started to complain about his bad brother-in-law. "He hurt himself when I wasn't looking at him." Gu Jiao put down the medicinal herbs in her hand and looked at Xiao Lulang, who was walking over. "Where are you hurt? Let me take a look." Then she said to little Jing Kong, "Go and play with Sister Zhongli." "Okay." Little Jing Kong obediently went to find little Zhongli. Gu Jiao brought Xiao Lulang back to her courtyard. There was a consultation room in the medical center, but it was for outsiders. He was different. Xiao Lulang had been to the medical center several times, but he had never entered Gu Jiao's room. It was not like a study room with simple furniture. There was even a small bed behind the screen for her to rest on. The two of them sat outside the screen. The screen was not a landscape or flower or bird screen that ordinary girls liked. It was a plain light blue without any patterns. Her preferences were always a little different. The two of them lived under the same roof, but for some reason, this room that belonged to Gu Jiao alone made Xiao Lulang feel as if he had broken into her boudoir. Xiao Liulong's expression changed slightly. Gu Jiao rolled up his sleeves. She did not use a pulse pillow to cushion his wrist. Instead, she directly held his wrist with her hand. His wrist was very swollen. She gently touched the bone. The bone was fine. She pinched the back of his hand. It was also slightly swollen. It should be caused by the extravasated blood on his wrist. "Does it hurt?" she asked. "No," he said. Gu Jiao also checked his fingers. His hand was very beautiful. It was thin, his fingers were slender, and the joints were distinct. His nails were very clean. Even the uninjured wrist was as delicate as jade. If it was in her previous life, it would be the hand of either a surgeon or a pianist. How did he get injured? Gu Jiao was a little angry. Usually at home, she was reluctant to let him do heavy work. She was afraid that he would hurt his hand. How did you get injured? She asked. In fact, they rarely asked about these things. When Gu Jiao treated his leg, she did not ask how he got injured. When Gu Jiao was unconscious after being whipped, he did not ask who Gu Jiao was on bad terms with. Although they eventually learned the truth, they did not know it from each other. The bookshelf was smashed, Xiao Lulang said. I didn't pay much attention at the time. Gu Jiao looked at his red and swollen wrist and frowned. Be careful in the future. Xiao Lulang nodded. Okay. On the first day, he needed to ice it to prevent the extravasated blood from spreading. Gu Jiao took an ice pack from the small medicine box and put it on his wrist. This ice pack did not need to be frozen. It could be crushed into ice. The disadvantage was that it could not be used again. Xiao Lulang had long been accustomed to strange things appearing in her medicine box from time to time. He did not ask where she got the ice. She held his wrist with one hand and put the ice pack on his wrist with the other. She changed the ice pack from time to time. Her expression was very serious and very careful. Xiao Liulong's eyes moved slightly. He reached out his hand and said, I'll do it myself. Gu Jiao picked up the ice pack and avoided his hand. No, it's very cold. Aren't your hands icy cold? Xiao Lulang stared at her. His wrist was cold and painful, but his heart did not seem to feel it. He opened his mouth and suddenly asked, Do you treat other patients like this? No. Gu Jiao shook her head and carefully put the ice pack on his hand. I only treat you like this. Xiao Liulong's heart suddenly swelled. There was a strange and strong emotion filling in. In fact, she did not specifically say what she only treated him like, but it made him unable to breathe calmly. The ice pack was probably too cold. Her left hand was completely numb from the cold. She changed the ice pack to her right hand and used her ice-cold left hand to hold his wrist bones. After changing the ice pack several times, Xiao Liulong's wrist was much less swollen and did not hurt at all. Her hands were so cold that they almost lost feeling. She went to pack things. Xiao Lulang could feel that her movements had slowed down. She closed the medicine box as if nothing had happened. She did not care about it. It was just a pair of cold hands. It was not unprecedented for her body to be frozen stiff in her previous life. However, this time, something that she did not care about was cared for by someone for her. The moment she stood up to take care of the medical supplies, a slender hand reached out and grabbed her cold hand. That hand was slender and white, and had an irresistible strength as it tightly wrapped around her hand. Her cold and painful fingertips suddenly warmed up. Gu Jiao stared blankly at him. He did not look at Gu Jiao. He only silently held her other hand in his. In the blink of an eye, it was the 15th of the 4th month. The small exam before the court examination began. Xiao Lulang left before the sun rose. He sat in the carriage driven by Lu Quan and arrived at the main entrance of the imperial palace. The main entrance of the imperial palace had a total of 3 doors. The main door in the middle was large and wide. It was at least 20 feet tall, and there was a side door on each side of the main door. The left door was for the royal family, and the right door was for the officials. Today, the examinees used the right door. The examinees were already waiting outside the right door, and they lined up according to their examination numbers. Xiao Lulang and Du Ruhan's examination numbers were the same. Xiao Lulang was 75, and Du Ruhan was 76. Du Ruhan arrived earlier than Xiao Lulang. After greeting Feng Lin and Lin Qingye, it took a long time for Xiao Lulang to arrive. Why are you so late? I thought you were too timid to come. Du Ruhan was jealous that Xiao Lulang had squeezed out his position in Feng Lin's heart. He would always scold him when he saw him. Xiao Lulang could not be bothered to argue with him, and quietly lined up in front of him. Du Ruhan curled her lips. Hey, are you nervous? Feng Lin and Lin Qingye are so nervous. Their examination numbers were closer to the front. One was 21, and the other was 37. It was said that they were ahead of Xiao Lulang and Du Ruhan, so the two of them were trembling. Fortunately, the rest of the examinees were trembling as well. There were not many who were not trembling. Firstly, they had never been to the palace before, so they were a little nervous. Secondly, it was especially cold today. It was already the 4th month, and the weather should have been good by now. However, it suddenly rained last night, causing the temperature to plummet. At this moment, there was even a strong wind blowing. Xiao Lulang glanced at him. Are you nervous? Du Ruhan snorted. What do I have to be nervous about? Xiao Liulong's gaze swept across him. If you don't tremble, you will be more convincing. When the time was up, the right side door opened. The officials from the Ministry of Rites began to inspect the examinees. After the inspection, a eunuch and an official from the Ministry of Rites would lead the examinees into the Hall of Supreme Harmony in the Imperial Palace. This time, there wasn't much of a body search. After all, everyone was no longer an ordinary high scholar. Everyone was a tribute scholar. Even the weakest among them was a grand scholar. What was a scholar? That was a preparatory official of the imperial court. Xiao Liuzi, do you know who that is? Halfway there, Du Ruhan suddenly pulled on Xiao Liulong's sleeve and used his eyes to signal him to look at a square-faced tributary scholar not far away. Xiao Lulang said indifferently, How come you talk more than Feng Lin? The two of them really talked a lot. This was called birds of a feather flocking together. Du Ruhan clicked his tongue. If you don't want to listen, then forget it. Xiao Lulang actually knew who Du Ruhan was referring to. That was Grand Secretary Yuan's grandson, Yuan Yu. Just now, when he was in line, he heard the officials from the Ministry of Rites greet Yuan Yu and call him Young Master Yuan. The Minister of Rites was Grand Secretary Yuan's disciple, so it was not surprising that he would take care of Yuan Yu. As for the Minister of Dependencies, he was Grand Tutor Zhuang's disciple, so he would most likely favor Royal Prince, and Royal Prince's exam number was behind Xiao Lulang and Du Ruhan, so Xiao Lulang did not see him. All the examinees took the exam in the main hall of the Hall of Supreme Harmony. There was a mat, a writing desk, and brushes, ink, paper, and inkstone provided by the imperial court. The examinees had to sit and answer the questions. The invigilators were officials from the Ministry of Rites and the Minister of Dependencies. After the examinees listened to the Minister of Rites' instructions and singing, they cupped their hands in salute and began to sit down. The small exam only tested the 8-part essay. This time, there was no cut and match question. The question was, the Tao is not far from people. People are far from the Tao, so they must not think of the Tao. This sentence came from The Doctrine of the Mean, Chapter 13. It meant, the Tao is not far from people. If someone pretended to be profound and caused the Tao to be far from people, then they could not practice the Tao. There were many entry points for this question. It could explore the nature and form of the Tao, and it could also delve into the degree and method of practicing the Tao. The examinees were not used to being given such a simple question after going through rounds of cruel childhood examinations, provincial examinations, and metropolitan examinations. Thus, a strange scene appeared in the examination hall. All the examinees looked at the exam papers on the table in confusion, seriously suspecting that the invigilators had given them the wrong answers. The exam begins. The Minister of Rites reminded. The examinees seemed to wake up from a dream. They took out their draft papers and began to solve the questions. If there was no difficulty in this exam, it would probably be the time. There were only 4 hours. However, seeing that the exam questions were not difficult, this amount of time was enough. Even Feng Lin and Lin Qingye did not feel too much pressure. The small exam did not count towards the total score. Its main purpose was not to select talents, but to warm up for the court examination. It was also to learn the etiquette and rules of the examination hall. The Minister of Rites and the Minister of Dependencies worked together to invigilate the exam. Xiao Lulang sat in the second-last seat in the first row. This seat did not attract the attention of the invigilators, but there was a crutch beside him. The Minister of Dependencies immediately noticed the crutch. He asked the eunuch beside him in a low voice, "Who is that?" The eunuch counted Xiao Liolong's exam number, looked at the cards in his hand, and said, "He is a supervisor of the Imperial College." "Why is it a—" the Minister of Dependencies wanted to say, "Why is he a cripple?" Just as the words were about to come out of his mouth, he felt that it was inappropriate. Since the court had relaxed the requirements for the imperial examinations, then as an official of the court, he should accept it. However, the Minister of Dependencies could not help but look at Xiao Lulang. This was not his fault. Since the beginning of the court, there had not been a cripple who had come to take the imperial examinations, especially those who had made it to the court examination. There were many who had scars on their faces. Could this kid have scars on his face as well? Wouldn't that scare His Majesty? The Minister of Dependencies decided to take a look. If he was really ugly, then no matter what, he would drop him. At the very least, he could not present his exam paper to the Emperor. They could not afford to frighten the Emperor. As a result, the Minister of Dependencies walked up to Xiao Lulang to take a look. With a single glance, he was completely dumbfounded. Xiao Lulang calmly finished his exam paper. He did not hand it in early, because he could not leave even if he handed it in. In the afternoon, they studied the rules and etiquette before the Emperor. To be honest, there were not many students from humble families among the 210 tributary scholars. It wasn't that they did not work hard enough, but rather that their educational resources and system were far inferior to those of noble families. If a family wanted to raise a grand scholar, they would often have to put in a great deal of effort. For example, the children of the Yuan family and the Zhuang family had great scholars like Grand Secretary Yuan and Grand Tutor Zhuang as their teachers. Just a few words of advice from them would be enough for the children of the family to benefit greatly. Even a Jiangnan scholar like Wang Yuan, who came from a scholarly family and had 2 grand scholars in his family, could also provide him with good guidance. It was difficult for the children of humble families to make a name for themselves. Most of the tributary scholars this time were examinees with a bit of family background. They had hired specialists to teach them some etiquette and rules at home. As a result, everyone's progress in learning the etiquette before the Emperor was very fast. At around 5 p.m., the examinees finished learning. They took their examination cards and left the imperial palace. Feng Lin did not learn much, so he asked Lin Qingye. Lin Qingye originally knew, but after Feng Lin asked, he suddenly became uncertain. Lulang. Feng Lin looked at Xiao Lulang pleadingly. Xiao Lulang demonstrated it to the 2 of them in the carriage. Du Ruhan patted his fan and said, "Eh? Xiao Liuzi, how can your etiquette be so good?" At first glance, he did not look like a poor boy from the countryside. He was not bragging, but Xiao Liolong's etiquette was not worse than Royal Prince Anne's. Where did this boy learn to have the temperament of a noble son from the capital? Xiao Lulang said indifferently, "Won't I know if I watch more?" "You brat. Forget it." Du Ruhan waved his fan and did not say what he wanted to ask. "It's getting late, I'm leaving. Do you want me to send you back?" Feng Lin said, "No need, we have a carriage." Feng Lin and Lin Chengye were in the same carriage, while Xiao Lulang was in Lu Quan's carriage. "All right, then let's not meet for the next 2 days. Stay at home and wait for the examination." Du Ruhan said and turned to leave the carriage. Feng Lin said to Xiao Lulang, "Lulang, we're leaving too." Xiao Lulang could see that he was nervous and said, "Don't think about anything. Her Majesty is not a poisonous snake or a ferocious beast. Even if something goes wrong, she will not do anything to you. Just focus on the examination. The same goes for you." He looked at Lin Qingye. The court examination does not test 8-part essay. It only tests on strategy questions. You have improved a lot in this year, so just focus on the questions. Lin Qingye had been learning from Xiao Lulang for so long, but Xiao Lulang had always been a strict teacher and had never praised him. It seemed that no matter how hard he tried, he could not satisfy Xiao Lulang. But just now, Xiao Lulang said that he had improved a lot? Lin Chengye was even more efficient than when he was praised by the teachers of the Imperial College. Xiao Lulang nodded. Don't study for the next 2 days. Focus on the examination. Lin Chengye, who had been praised, got off the carriage with high spirits and sat in his own carriage with Feng Lin. For the next 2 days, they stayed at home and did not go out. On the 17th, the court examination officially began. That day, all the colleges in the capital were on holiday, including the Imperial College. More than 200 examinees were waiting outside the palace gates before daybreak. One of the examinees had left his examination token at home and was so anxious that he almost fainted. Fortunately, the owner of the inn he was staying at discovered the token and personally rushed over to deliver it to him. Although the court examination did not discriminate against candidates, if one did not take the examination, they would still be discriminated against. The inspection for the court examination was stricter. Some of the parents of the candidates who lived in the capital also came. However, they were not allowed to get close to the palace and were stopped a few hundred meters away. Imperial court officials like Grand Tutor Zhuang and Grand Secretary Yuan were exceptions. The two of them were here to attend the imperial court, and they also gave their children a few instructions. The other candidates saw this and immediately felt a huge pressure. Do your best and don't think about anything else. Grand Tutor Zhuang said to Prince An, who was at the end of the line. Prince An's number was second to last. However, because of Grand Tutor Zhuang's appearance, it caused quite a commotion. Almost all the candidates looked at him. Prince An smiled. Grandfather, don't worry. Grand Tutor Zhuang smoothed Prince An's sleeves. This was telling him to focus on the examination and leave the rest to him. With Prince An's ability and Grand Tutor Zhuang's influence, why would he worry about not getting first place? As for the potential threat, he had 100 ways to make them lose their exam. At this moment, the candidates were extremely envious. They envied Prince An's talent and family background. Grand Tutor Zhuang could not stay for too long and turned to leave. Suddenly, a tall and majestic figure approached him. Oh, isn't this Grand Tutor Zhuang? What a coincidence. Who else could this annoying voice be other than Marquis Xianping? Grand Tutor Zhuang felt a headache whenever he saw him. The person he hated the most in the imperial court was Marquis Xianping. Grand Tutor Zhuang held the ceremonial tablet in his hand and said faintly, I should be the one saying this. The sun is not even high up in the sky. Why is Marquis Xianping here? Everyone knew that Marquis Xianping never attended court early. There were many people here and Marquis Xianping was still polite. He said elegantly and calmly, I am the same as you. Grand Tutor Zhuang snorted. The same as him? What was the same as him? Was he also here to send his children to the court examination? Ha hu! The two useless bastard sons in his family? Marquis Xianping ignored Grand Tutor Zhuang's disdain. He curled his lips and strode forward. Marquis Xianping's aura attracted everyone's attention. The candidates wanted to look but did not dare. They were so nervous that they did not even dare to breathe loudly. Marquis Xianping stopped beside Xiao Lulang. He raised his hand and seriously and solemnly straightened Xiao Liulong's clothes. Digression. Are there any more monthly tickets? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/896428286/112954036. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.